bad, people will have a lot to say. I figured the middle's a tough spot to swim in. That's what this line is for. That's what this line is for you to be able to get your voice across. So that's what a lot of today's going to be. A lot of people have a lot of things they want to say. So we're going to get through some introductions, some of the chats. People have donated super chat already. I want to get those caught up. Today, you guys, depending on how many people call, I just might let you guys go. Please understand, though. The more people there are in the call bank, the shorter I got to keep each call so I can try and give everybody a chance. So please understand, I'm not trying to be mean or cut you off. I want to let everybody who's taken the time to do this get in, okay? So let's get through the introductions. We'll welcome our regulars. Kent's here. And I'm telling you, you thought people like sparring with Kent, the resident Ohio State fan, on a week where we win. Kent, Kent, buckle up, because I've already seen it in the chat. People are not in a good mood. Not in a good mood. And it's understandable, okay? So obviously, thanks for being here. We got a good group here already. I figured today was going to be popping. I just didn't want it to be for this reason. It's unfortunate, folks. I don't even know where to start. And that is upsetting. It is very upsetting. Let's get through the introductions, the roll call, super chats, and I want to hear what you guys think. Here's the deal on YouTube. You're already here. If you're already here, take 1 second to hit the thumbs up. I appreciate it very much. Hell, you're already in here. Just hit the thumbs up. Appreciate that, okay? Notifications on. That way you'll be alerted every time we got to do one of these or there's an emergency news drop or something. You don't want to miss it. Twitter, search bar, Always Irish Rat. Always Irish Inc. Emails, alwaysirishindy@gmail.com. Call in line. Obviously, a lot of you already got the memo, 312-988-15. So there's my introductory statement, folks. You're starting at ground zero. You're starting at ground zero. There's nothing you could trust. There's nothing you can rely on. All that goodwill, feeling like you're angling up, like the arrow's pointing up, stability, feeling like Freeman settling in, the offense was heading in the right. It's all over. That dream of stabilization and getting incrementally better week by week is over. That's over. You can't do this. Have this happen at home again. You ruined all that. Like the salvage thing, you ruined it. So now we're starting back at ground zero where you have to question everything and trust nothing. And I don't like being there. But I have no choice. It's the responsible place to be as a fan. They've left me no choice. By the way they perform. I can't trust anything. And you're just sitting there and wait and see for the next bad or good thing to happen. You don't know. Now that we got a day, and I'm going to hurry up and wrap my part of this up and let you guys get to it. All right. I really want this to be about you, but there's a couple things I got to get out. Okay, now that I've had a day to think about it, got back from South Bend, recorded first thing in the morning yesterday, like a little out of sorts. My mind was spinning. Here's what I've come up to a day later. There's a big disconnect here somewhere. That's what I've come up to. There's a big disconnect here somewhere. And I don't act like I know where. I don't act like I know exactly where. That I know it's Tommy or I know Freeman's not cut out for the head job. I don't know where it is. I just know when you do what we've done at home, the message isn't getting there or it's not the right message. There's a disconnect, and it's deeper than just like what play is called or that kind of thing. The collective flops more than once at home against two of the three worst teams we play all year tells me there's a disconnect. I don't know where it is, but something isn't getting through right. Something's wrong. And I don't know where it is, but you got to figure it out. And the other thing I can't let happen, and I'm partially guilty of this, but I'm mature enough and self-aware enough to admit it. Okay, I am. Unlike a lot of people that do this. I cannot let anybody, including me, say, oh, it's all good gravy. Let Freeman get his guys in here in a year or two. It'll be fine. I used to think that was a lot more true than I do now. But seeing what I've seen, it's more than that. There's more going on here than it's just we don't have five-star talent on offense. There's more that's not right here than that. So I cannot. That's going to help, no doubt. If we hold the recruiting class enough to get these guys in here, that's going to help. But there's bigger problems than that right now. There's way bigger problems than that right now. And I have to admit that. So it isn't that simple as pushing it down the road and open the talent just takes care of itself. There's bigger issues, unfortunately. All right. Couple super chats. Then we're going to go to the phones. I want to let you guys talk. Okay. Oh man. I want to know, how did we get here? Why are we here? How do you start to come out of it? Those are my questions. I don't think anybody saw this coming. I really didn't. I feel like an idiot. I thought they were going to come in ready to play, ride that momentum. They didn't do any of that. It's so frustrating. You just feel like you got blindsided. Paul Conley, $5 holler. For me, I am now sure Tommy Rees has to go at the end of the year. Offense is sick. They took 4 steps back. There's no doubt they took steps back, and the offensive line wasn't as good. I just don't understand. Stanford's not good at football. It's really frustrating. Greg, $20. Thank you for that on a Monday. Keeps the phones going. 480. We're going to get to you first. Highest donator this morning. So 480, you're going to be first. I got you. Mikey pulls. Yeah, what a Monday this will be, unfortunately. V1 rotate. 199, 786. I'll get you. I'm going to write these down. Oh, man. 219, I see you. 361, I see you. As well as others. Mike, 361. Yep, you're on the list. 361. Got you. Thanks for the donation. 499. I should be on my way to call some doctor offices, but I'm still mad and this is needed. I mean, are you calling for yourself or for work? Got a main question about that. 199, no post-game answers for failure is unacceptable. Hey, it's one of the things I wanted to mention, folks. There was a lot of execution. We got to execute. I think somebody counted 27 times Freeman said execution in the post-game show. Yeah. That is a part of it, but there's more involved here than that. That is like, I don't have the answer, but I need to say something to get through this next 15 minutes of this press conference. Execution, right. Obviously, that needs to be better, but when you do what you did at home again, it's more than execution. That's my big angle today, folks. That's it. It's more than execution when you have a total failure like this against a 1-4 team at your place, when you've already had one of these at your place against a nobody team. You didn't learn your lesson. That's the disturbing part. Okay. Really disturbing. All right. Back to this. Man, this is going to be rough. Everybody's just kind of out of their minds. All right, let's go. We're going to open up these phones. The more calls I see, the more people there will be. Okay, no doubt. Let's see. Where am I? All right, let's go to these. Let's get these calls. 480, you're going to be first up. Thanks for the chat.
Hey, what's going on, John?
Good morning, man. I would love to have your thoughts. You always call in with some really clear-minded angles. How do you think we ended up here? What caused this, and how do we get out?
Man, the first thing I have to say is, what the hell did I watch Saturday night? What the hell did I watch Saturday night? Man, that has to be one of the most awful performances I've ever watched, man. And And it's been a while since I've ever felt this way. Like, this is taking me back to the Weiss and Willingham era days. Like, I'm sorry to say, but this is what I feel. Because, man, how do we come out against a 1-4 team who has the worst freaking defense in college football, and we can't even put up a freaking field goal in the first half, let alone a touchdown?
I don't understand it. But the one thing I think I've come to is it's more than just blaming execution. Do you agree with that? I feel like something isn't connecting right.
What I'm tired of is, number one, I watched the post game, the post conference that Freeman did. I'm tired of hearing the word execution.
Yep. It's a
Number
crutch.
two,
It's a crutch. It's a crutch he goes to, and when he's
getting redundant.
Yeah,
it's getting redundant, man. It's like a broken record.
Yep.
And people are tired of hearing that word execution.
I'm tired of hearing it. And it's too early. It's too early in the tenure for that.
Yeah, like, bro, it's bigger than execution. You got a cultural problem. You got a coaching problem. And it's major, man. It's really major. It's really major. And what I'm fearful of is, because this is his first year, what can be dangerous about Freeman in his first year coaching a program like this is that if he doesn't right the ship and get this right, this could be a situation where it never recovers, man. And now we're going back another 8 years backwards in the program, because you can get talent all you want, but if you don't have the coaching in place, if you're not getting the development in place, it really makes no difference. Like, all this, well, we know the execution, and we just gotta get this right. We gotta do. No, man, no. It's time to stop walking around and not being a coach, and get in some of your coaches' faces and say, look, whatever you thought you were going to do beforehand, it's a new day, okay? Because, number one, he's not holding Reese accountable. It's like he's putting Reese in a box and saying, okay, it's your thing. Do what you want to do, okay? But he's not doing what Kelly did. And I'm going to say this, man. I'm not a Kelly guy. I'm really not a Kelly guy. But if Kelly was coaching this team, I'm sorry to say, John, we would be probably 5-1 right now.
Yeah, but
let alone,
I agree with that though. But the idea with this project was you're giving up some of the stability that Brian Kelly eventually brought, 5 years not losing to an unranked opponent. We all knew that was a part of the agreement here. You were giving up some of that known with Kelly for the ability to maybe have more upside with Freeman down the road. Like, I would believe Kelly would only have probably one loss, but I also believe he wasn't going to win a postseason game that matters either, no matter what. So that was supposed to be the give and take. I accept some risk early on with Freeman for the light at the end of the tunnel being a potentially higher ceiling. And that was a deal I was willing to accept. However, I thought the growing pains and the learning curve could be accomplished without losing to Marshall and Stanford. That's my problem. Like, I knew there would be some learning curve. It just couldn't involve losing to those two at home the way you did.
Right, man. It's what Stephen Morpin said to John is, in the post game, he says something to the lines that Reese is doing an excellent job. And I just had to shake my head like, what? What did you just say? He's doing an excellent job. And then, you got people saying, well, he's not going to throw his coordinator under the bus in front of the public. Yeah, but you don't have to say he's doing an excellent job either, because you're still lying. You're still lying to the public, regardless of whether you're not throwing him on the bus, trying to protect him. You're still like, he doesn't believe. I know Freeman cannot believe that. Like, if he really believes that Reese is doing an excellent job, man, we got problems. We got real big problems, man.
I just feel like maybe Freeman looks like he looks a little overwhelmed, and that's a little alarming too, because it does look like life's coming at him fast. It does. You know, I love the guy. I wanted the guy. This hurts me.
I love the guy too.
This hurts me, man.
I want him to succeed badly, man.
This hurts me. This is my guy that I wanted, but I got to be honest. When you're doing this against these teams, there's some big issues here. You got to adjust something you're doing. The message isn't getting through. What hurts me is these home games against Marshall and Stanford, Notre Dame played entitled. It felt to me they thought that ball would get rolled out there and you would just win. And that is really upsetting. You have no home field advantage anymore. It's up for the taking for anybody. Things are not well.
Yeah, man. It's truly embarrassing right now, man, as a fan.
So where do you go from here, though? Where do you go from here rebuilding this week? Like, we can all complain about how upset we are, but how do you get out of this? Just do the same thing. We all show up and then be happy you sneak by UNLV? Like, that ain't going to cut it. So we're all upset, and I want to hear all that, and I need to get it out. But how do we get out of this is the second part of this question, and it's tough to answer.
Well, I'm going to tell you this, John. The first thing that Freeman needs to do is he needs to pull Reese in the office and say, from here on out, you are not running the entire offense on your own merit. I'm tagging in Mr. Gerald Parker as the co-offensive coordinator because he called plays at West Virginia. He knows offense. I am teaming him up with you. And also, the position coaches will have to say on who's getting out there on the field. You don't get to call who gets to get out there, who doesn't. Because some of these guys that, like Tobias Merriweather, for God's freaking sake, how in the devil does this guy get a touchdown and then he's back on the sideline on the next drive?
Yep. Makes no sense. Yep.
I mean,
I don't get it.
It doesn't make any freaking sense at all, man.
Nope.
The guy that he was such a mismatch for the defense, man, and we got him on the sideline.
Yep.
I mean, we missed Braden Lindsay on a post route. Wide freaking open. You're running a man. It was so much on that offense, man, that just ticked me off.
Yeah.
And it's like, dude, you know, I just feel that Reese, he just wants to go to the NFL, man. What it is he's trying to outsmart instead of make things simplistic for his players. He's trying to outsmart, out-scheme, the other team. It's like, dude, you got to make stuff simplistic for your players so that they can understand why they're doing what they're doing. I don't think they really understand because they're trying to complex so many freaking things, and that's with Golden too, man. You complex another freaking blitz, another freaking safety blitz or double blitz that cost us a play, a play that was a trajectory into Stanford scoring. I mean, some stuff just needs to be cut out, man.
Yeah.
Like, you guys can't get home on that.
Right.
Stop doing it.
Yep.
Stop doing the freaking blitz. It's not going anywhere.
Yeah, okay? And man, you know what's getting me? Oh man, we have the offensive issues. And then in the defense, even though they're giving up not a lot of points, there's still a lot to be mad at. It's bizarre. You look at the total points and you're like, "Oh, you can win with that. That's not that bad." But the way it looks worse than what the number is at the end. Sloppy. It's bizarre, man.
It's sloppy, man.
It's wild, though.
It's sloppy.
But you're like 16 points. That wins you every damn game.
Right. Arm tackle, half tackling, slow to get to the ball. I mean, our corners getting beat left and right, man. I mean, it's like, what the hell, man? It's so just depressing, man, because this team, while, okay, we don't have no dual threat dynamic quarterback, with the talent that's around this team, there is no way under the sun. I would say like this. if we were 3-3 and we lost to BYU, Ohio State, and North Carolina, or we beat Stanford, Cal, and Marshall, I would still be upset, but I maybe could still have a little bit of just still optimism about this season.
Yeah, but it's who it is and the way it looks and where it is for me.
The way it looks.
Yeah,
man. It's trash.
But it's like, listen, man. I was saying it last week too. A reminder: Notre Dame has the #1 strength of schedule. Not afraid to play anybody. Yeah, that's true. But I got news for you. We don't have that #1 strength of schedule because of these two teams.
Right.
And so if you're going to lose to them and you have all those other teams, it's a big, big problem. So what are you, if you're this coaching staff, what are you doing this week? That's where I'm going to finish and ask everybody who calls. What are you doing this week to try and right this? What are you doing?
First thing I'm doing is I'm getting my hands all back in the defense, especially those linebackers. I'm going to be in those linebackers' face all week. I'm not going to let them breathe. And I'm telling Golden, I'm putting the pressure on him too. Get these guys right when it comes to the defenses that you're calling. I don't want to see another safety blitz for the rest of the season. Okay? Plain and simple. Tackling, they're going to be tackling until their arms are numb.
Yep.
Until their legs are numb. Because, dude, it makes no freaking sense that we could not tackle in space, man. It's ridiculous. We could not tackle in space, man. And on the third down drives where we had a chance to get a 3 and out, we give up a play, man, and we can't tackle.
Yep.
It's ridiculous. And it's not the first game we've been doing. It's a repetitive situation. That means it's a coaching problem now. It's not a player situation. It's that, what do you guys – you talk about when they work their butts off in practice. Okay, so if they're working their butts off in practice, what in the heck are y'all talking? In my opinion, man, there's a misevaluation. They don't know how to evaluate talent. That's what I'm getting out of this staff right now. It's like there's a misevaluation of talent.
Man, so we just got problems everywhere then, man. If it's
everywhere, man.
It's execution, it's the scheme, it's the coaching, it's a misevaluation of talent.
Execution. What are they doing when it comes to execution? Okay, why is execution such an issue? You saying execute? We got to execute.
Yeah. Why? Why can you not?
Why?
Yeah. Exactly.
What are you guys seeing in practice?
Right.
That they're not executing. So that means that if they're not taking what you guys are giving them in practice and bringing it to the field and executing, then it's a coaching problem now.
Yeah.
It's not a player issue.
Where this really gets hard is the reality is it's probably all of these issues to a certain extent, but they're all in the same bowl mixed together. And that makes it hard too. How do I know what percentage is this problem versus, this cause versus this cause? It's not easy, but Marcus, you wanted the job. You're the head guy. You're getting the fat paycheck. You got to figure your life out, or this is going to spin away from you and maybe not come back. It's wild.
He better figure it out this year because after this season, because he's really got one more year, man. If he doesn't get things intact by next year, he might not be here after next season. I'm sorry to say, I hate the recruiting class. The guy's a great recruiter, man. And I really was pulling for him, man. He's young, young African-American coach, man. And, in the dynamics of him being able to relate to these guys because of the age situation.
Hey, I'm not writing him off. Listen, I'm not writing him off. I'm not saying it's over. I'm not saying any of that. I am saying this is a really bad look, and it's way worse than where I thought we would be at, even if things didn't go well. That's my problem. Even on the low end, this is below where I thought we'd be with learning curve and all those issues. So it's disturbing, and I'm sorry to get you worked up on a Monday morning, but I appreciate the call and the donation. Sorry to do that on a Monday.
It's all good, job, man. We gonna be all right, man.
All right. Hey, man, I really appreciate you. Thanks for the call. Have a good week. Give me a call back. This is therapy for everybody, man. Good call. Thank you.
No problem, man.
Appreciate you. Man, it's rough. People are struggling. Like, man. All right, back to the phone lines. 361. Let's have some fun if it's possible.
What's up, John?
Good morning, my friend. What do you make of all this? Why did it happen? And how in the heck do we stop it from happening again?
I have no idea. I know we talk about execution, which is on the players, and we talk, SMA fumbled. It shouldn't have come down to SMA fumbling. I look at it like this. The final offensive play of Notre Dame's night tells you everything you need to know.
And so, and so does the first play of the night. Think about it. You just hit one of my bullet points. The first freaking play was a false start at home to start the night, and your last play is 4th down to save the game, and you're throwing it short of the sticks into heavy traffic. That's all you need to know.
Well, it's funny you bring up the first play, because the first play was an issue before the ball was ever snapped.
Yeah.
The last play was before the ball was ever snapped. The best receiver wearing gold helmet is Tobias Merriweather Saturday night. You know where he was on that 4th down? Not on the field. You know where Michael Mayer was on that 4th down? Not on the field. You know who was on the field? Matt Solano. Please tell me why Matt Solano was on the field in that important situation. Come on.
Yeah, some of the personnel stuff I struggle with. And the whole Merriweather thing, he finally did what we all begged for, saying, how hard is it to let the guy run a fly pattern or a post pattern that 7-year-olds run? Let him run and be athletic and go catch it. He doesn't need to know everything perfect and be a perfect polished blocker to do that. You need a spark. Let the guy do it. Been begging for it half the year. They finally do it and it works. And then then he's out of the mix. How does that make any sense? You need a spark. He gave you one and then you extinguished it. Why?
I don't know. It worked twice. You could argue he was open twice. Pine missed him once.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, I struggle with it. I don't get it.
So when you need. It's not like, it'd be nice to have. You need a first down on 4th and 8. So we're going to throw it to the guy who ran a 6-yard route, and we're not going to have our best players on the field in Mayer and Merriweather. We got Matt Solano out there. Come on. And it's Reese. I make the joke on my show, and I've even recorded my show, so your listeners are getting a preview of what the hell I'm going to yell about. But he plays bingo. I swear, he plays bingo. He just looks down and says, well, I haven't called this play yet. I better call it because it checks off this box for this scenario, and who cares what everything else is going on around me? I'm just going to call this play because there's no rhyme or reason to it. The jet sweep with Jaden Thomas. Don't love the call, but I will say it was blocked well. It just looked like Jaden Thomas had never run with the football before. All he had to do was break a tackle, and he couldn't.
Yeah, and here, let me ask this, man. Here's probably the biggest indictment of Reese that I can come up with objectively. Not like I like him or don't like him personally. Let me tell you this. We're halfway through the year and Notre Dame has not scored a touchdown in the first quarter of any game. How is that not the ultimate indictment that tells you the plan you're trying to install all week, your scripted plays that you've been doing all week, your bread and butter, hasn't worked in any game? How does that not indicate your plan's bad? The execution's bad, yeah, but maybe your plan isn't good if you can't score at all in the first quarter of any games in half the year. Isn't that an indicator the plan's bad? That can't just be execution, right?
Absolutely. It's funny you say that. So these, like you just said, these are the scripted plays. These are not the situational, and some of it comes up in the beginning of the game, obviously, but ideally your first, depending on how deep you want to go, 10 plays are planned, scripted. Here's what we intend to run. Here's what we want to do. There shouldn't be too much thought put into it. Not to mention you're playing a team that gives up almost 500 yards of offense at 38 points, and we couldn't do anything. But to your point, scripted, planned, organized, isn't a 2-minute drill something that should be all of those things? And we look like, I don't want to say the language I want to say, but you know what? We look like they'd never been in a 2-minute offense situation ever.
Yeah, no, it definitely looked like they weren't pushing the pace enough that you need to make that work. Man, it's just so rough. But it's like, and the other thing is, people are mad about like the refereeing was bad. It was. I rewatched the game, like it was bad. But at the same time, I'm not blaming it on the refs. Like, we played bad from the beginning against Stanford, who's a bad team. They give up yardage, 200 to 300 yards to the ground in the air. They've given up in every single game against opponents theoretically not as good as us. We couldn't do diddly poo. Something's wrong. Something is wrong. Scheme, talent, execution, all of it. Something's not adding up.
I know. And I said it on Friday, and it came to fruition, unfortunately. Hey, if they make a concerted effort to really make Michael Mayer a non-factor, what's our pivot point as an offense?
Yep.
We saw it.
Yep. You know what? Good job by Shaw and that defensive staff. They were running zone on him, man on him, bracketing him, running him into coverage. They did a great job on him. Where was our pivot? Where was our pivot? Here was the pivot. Still having an iffy passing game and then not being able to run the ball against a team that gives up 200 to 300 yards on the ground. Okay. That's what we did. Whatever.
It doesn't, John, it doesn't make sense that me and you, who I don't know how big you are, but I know you're coming on your size. I'm 5'6", 155. I don't imagine you're much bigger. We've never played this high level of football. How are we sitting here being able to understand that that's a possibility and we have to have a plan for it? And the guys in South Bend don't.
Yeah. It's very, very frustrating. And all I know is I don't act like I have the answers here, but something needs to really shift. Like, the message is not getting through. What's expected of you isn't getting through. Like, just like the quality of like what's expected of you of a Notre Dame player at home. It's the message isn't getting through, and it's very upsetting. So where do you go from here, man? How do you stop this week? What do you do?
It all goes back to my harping on the bingo offense. You have to know what your personnel can and can't do. Tyree is not a between the tackles runner. Stop calling run plays that should be SMA or Diggs with Tyree. You just saw Merriweather get open twice. You missed him once. He caught a touchdown pass. Maybe get him on the field more. Figure out a way that Mayer's covered. What's our pivot point? We have to understand our personnel. And if that means watching more film, if that means switching up who's running what in practice instead of just rolling out the same guys, it's a personnel issue at the same time it's play calling. We need to be, what I'm looking for, but I don't want to say more creative, but Tommy has to stop calling what he wants to call and call what works for this offense.
I thought he was doing a better job of it the last couple of weeks. Like, I thought that was trending in the right direction, and now it went totally the other way.
And it sounds, this might sound crazy, but I feel like he was doing it. He's like, all right, we got it working. I'm going to go back to do, because now that we can run this, I'm going to go back to what I want to run, and we're going to make that work. Why?
Yeah.
Why stop? Like, why put out your own fire? I don't understand the mentality of stopping what works.
Yeah.
You changed everything you were doing, and it's weird. Did we run any screens with anybody on Saturday? I didn't see one. Maybe I'm going crazy. I don't remember a screen to Tyree that was effective when he catches it. He missed one on BYU, but we were just – it was odd. So going forward, I think it's about the personnel. But knowing what you can do, stop doing what you want to do. And I don't care how long Lindsey's been in the program. Put Merriweather in a spot, please.
Yep. And in a lot of I think you're now at the point where that it has to be known. I don't care how old you are. If you have a C on your chest, if you're not making plays, you're not going out there. because you already had your chance as the frontline guys, and look at the position you put us in. I don't care. I want guys that want to go make plays out there. And a lot of these guys are entitled and just go out there, and this is where it got us. So I don't know, but it's got to get fixed quick, or this is going to take a deep, dark dive. I really appreciate the call, man. I got a full bank of lines. I'm going to see what everybody else got.
I appreciate it, John. I don't call on Mondays, but I was too mad, and I tried to find positives, but I needed this. So
yeah,
thank you.
No problem at all, man. 5 foot nothing under nothing. Check it out, folks. Anywhere you get your podcast. Have a good week, man. Don't let it stress you out too much.
You too, John. Thanks, buddy.
Hang in there. All right, we're going to go 219-786 are going to be the next two up. We have a bunch of calls today, guys, so we're going to have to speed it up. I want to give everybody a chance. So that's just the way it goes. Sometimes there's only 4 people in there. I could go longer, but if there's 20 people, I'm going to go shorter. Derek says the announcer commentary was appalling. I'm telling you, you guys, yeah, I was in a bad mood when I rewatched the TV copy. The play's bad. Man, that NBC booth sounds cheap. I'm not trying to be a jerk. It just sounds cheap. The NBC Notre Dame product to me sounds like an afterthought now. There's no gravitas. There ain't a big voice in that booth that tells you what's going on here is important. I don't like it. It ain't working for me. Maybe if Notre Dame was great, I wouldn't care. The booth lacks gravitas. At least Tirico had that voice that made you think something important was happening here. Now we don't have it, and it's a lame afterthought to me. NBC's worried about the NFL. I feel like we were an afterthought and put together late, that crew. I don't care for it. There's no gravitas. There's nothing that even gives the indicator you're watching Notre Dame and it's a big deal. I don't care for it. All right, let's go. The other people that donated, 786-219. Good morning.
Can you hear me?
Yep.
Hey, John. Just kind of wanted to touch on 2 quick things today.
Yeah, what you got?
First one being the press conference after, and then Drew Hine. Obviously, that video you made yesterday, you knocked it right on the head with, you can't just keep saying execution. At one point, someone's going to have to take some accountability for everything that's going on. I know that Marcus Freeman is the player's coach and he's everyone's friend and everything, and that's great. He can be that. He doesn't have to be a jerk to these players. But, if you can't perform to the level that you're supposed to perform at Notre Dame, I'm sorry, you can sit there and warm the bench for somebody who wants to play and wants to play well.
Yeah.
Tommy Rees can't do the job. Take some of the power away from him. Give it to somebody else. Marcus Freeman's the head coach. He could at any point take that away from Rees and do it himself, or give it to somebody else, or tag team it like the first caller said.
Yeah.
I don't understand why it's just let him have the offense. He can do whatever he wants. Obviously, it's not working, but
I think that's exactly what happened, though.
On the sideline with a stupid look on my face.
But I think that's what happened because Freeman's a defensive guy, and then he just kind of like Tommy was the guy, and I think he pretty much handed that all over. I don't know if he's involved at all, Marcus, with that offense, but if he's not, I think he needs to be. Like, honestly, I think he needs to be. If he's not, like, he's been around football enough. At this point, something needs to be different. I don't know how else to say it.
I've watched Notre Dame football pretty much my whole life. That's where my parents, grew up and went to school. They actually did 2 years at Ohio State. I actually have a funny story for why they don't like Ohio State, but that'll be for a different time. But, I've seen Notre Dame play through all these years, and sure, we're never going to get a Notre Dame team where it looks like Tennessee and Alabama.
Yeah.
People flinging it all over the place, catching it, elite quarterback play, back and forth, nail biter. Like, that's never going to be the case at Notre Dame. I don't know why. It just never has been and probably never will be unless we figure it out. But just watching that game, it's just such a disappointment. Like, what happened to the team that played Ohio State? Held Ohio State to what will be their lowest score of the entire year, played them tough, made them actually have to come up with a game plan, made Ohio State play well on defense, made Ohio State stretch their offense out really thin. Like, I feel like it's two different teams this year playing two different seasons. What the heck happened?
But that's where I'm struggling is how could you come into that and look like you had it put together pretty well, but then it unravels after? Like, I don't understand that. Like, that's why I keep coming back to there's a disconnect here, and I'm just not sure where it is or what it is. And I don't know if that's just like the learning curve of a new regime, but my instinct tells me the learning curve here shouldn't be this extreme. That's what's worrying me. I'm building in a little leeway of a learning curve. The learning curve is you lost to Ohio State and Clemson. That's the freaking learning curve. The learning curve isn't losing to Marshall and Stanford at home when neither of them can beat any other FBS team. That's not the learning curve. That's a death dive. Those are different.
Did you think the vibe? Because before the BYU game, I thought Drew Pine had this certain energy about him. He looked confident. The whole vibe of the game from the Notre Dame side from the beginning just seemed off. Drew Pine throws one bad pass. He's down and out, done for the game. It's just
weird. It was weird. And I'm telling you, though, everybody's mad that the Notre Dame crowd isn't that loud. Well, when you start out with a penalty, go 3 and out, give them the ball, and let a team that sucks go right down and score a touchdown, it isn't the best way to get your crowd involved. I got news for you. Like, they have to assume some responsibility for that, too. You literally couldn't start any worse, right? You had a penalty, gave the ball right back to them, and let them go down and score. And then you're like, well, why isn't the crowd engaged? What?
I'm not just talking about the crowd. I'm talking about the players, too. But cycling back onto Drew Pine, I know this is an unpopular opinion. I do feel like we give Drew Pine a little bit of too much heat. I know he didn't play very well yesterday. I get all that. But if you remember, Drew Pine played in that Elite 11, and he took 5th place in that behind C.J. Stroud, who won it, and Bryce Young, that got number 3rd place. So there's something there. I think where Notre Dame is severely lacking is anybody's capability to catch the ball. Look at Ohio State or any great or quarterback in college football. Ohio State has the best wide receiver core in college football, and it isn't close. C.J. Stroud can fling it all over the field to whoever he wants. Drew Pine is standing back there with the ball, and what is he supposed to do with it? Every defensive coordinator for other teams knows exactly how to beat Notre Dame. Play man on the outside because your receivers aren't good enough to get open. Stack the box,
crowd the box,
and somebody or two people follow Mayer. That's it. So you can't run and you can't pass it. So what's he supposed to do?
And the problem with that is that recipe's out there now, and it doesn't take a genius to look at it and know what it is. That's the other problem. That roadmap's there to stop Notre Dame's offense, and there is no
you could run one play the whole game and beat Notre Dame by 16 points at home. That's it. That's all you have to do. Run one play, score 16 points, and that's good enough to beat Notre Dame.
It's just so rough. So how do you try and steer out of this? Like in the middle of the year, in the middle of this kind of like fire crisis, how do you try and transition out of this and just get your head above water? Because it ain't good right now.
Look,
where do you even start, man? I'm struggling. Where do you start this week? You get these guys back in the meeting room. How do you start that?
Well, I think what they need to do is the coaches need to come in there and they say that they have failed the players. I get the players aren't executing to the level, but either the coaches aren't giving them the tools that they need to win like they're saying they are, or they're giving them the wrong ones. And you got to go back and look at all the games and all the films. Those who aren't producing are out. It's amazing that you give that true freshman an opportunity to hop into the game and play, and he scores a touchdown. It's almost like everyone had been saying that from week 1, and then he's nowhere to be seen the rest of the game. Nowhere to be seen.
Yeah, it's.
I don't get it.
Me neither. Me neither. Sometimes they overthink them. Don't you agree that they overthink themselves sometimes? Sometimes these coaches think themselves to make life harder than it has to be when the most basic thing is the right thing a lot of times. And it's an ongoing frustration.
I think that's why Kelly could never win any big games. Instead of just going in there and playing football and playing somewhat, I don't even know the word, just instead of just doing what they're supposed to be doing, Kelly and Reese would go in there and they'd overthink things. They would try to force the offense to do stuff that they couldn't do, and this, and then they would end up losing all of them.
Yeah.
100%. That's Notre Dame's entire playbook in a nutshell. Instead of just playing to the level of the team that you have, molding an offense around the players that you have, let's try to make our offense look like Ohio State, even though that's physically impossible.
Yeah.
It will never happen.
Yeah. It's really frustrating. And you're past the bye. This is a week-to-week grind. You got to find a way to clean this up. Can you imagine? The environment for UNLV is going to be scary because everybody's sitting there waiting for the next bad thing to happen. I mean, it's going to be a rough vibe. I don't know what you do. It's going to be a long week. It's going to be a long week.
We went into Cal thinking, oh my gosh, so we're going to beat Cal. And then we beat them. And then we go in and beat UNC. And now we're looking to the future. And now we're sitting here thinking, are we going to beat UNLV? You don't think UNLV is not sitting there right now thinking, look how beatable this Notre Dame team is? Let's just go in there and take care of business.
Notre Dame's home field is up for the taking, and that hurts me a lot. It took a lot of hard work for Kelly even to get to the point where that was pretty well protected. It's very upsetting, and we got to get it right, or this is going to spin away from us. I really appreciate the call, man. Try and not let it ruin your week.
Thank you for the call.
Thanks a lot, man. Have a good one.
You too.
Kent saying blaming Tommy is comical. Listen, guys, there isn't one thing to blame. That is one of my big frustrations. There's like 10 different things to blame, and I'm just not sure how much of which one is in the mix. That's where I've arrived to, and it's very frustrating. It isn't just one thing is the problem. There's like 6 different things that are the problem all wrapped together right now. That's the problem of the problem. Fire Chancey Stuckey. James, I know you're messing with me. Chancey Stuckey's got the toughest job on this staff this year, trying to make something out of nothing in that wide receiver room. That guy's got to be a recruiter and a teacher 24/7. We're going to go 219-443 and then 707 and a bunch after that. Let's get it. 219, you're on the line.
John, what's up? What a dumpster fire Saturday was.
I'm struggling with it. It doesn't make sense. It doesn't. It doesn't make sense what we saw. I'm struggling.
That's probably one of the worst games I've ever attended. I mean, you got to go back to 16 for sure.
And I just don't know how we got here, man. I felt like things were trending up, and I thought we were going to come ready to play, and it just didn't happen. And I'm shocked by that. It's very upsetting.
I feel so dumb because I called in last week, talking about how it's obvious the players are taking the coaching and everyone's on board and everything's looking up as long as we get better every week. And then they pull that off.
How did we get here? How did we get here? Like, how does that happen at home when you already had one of these at home that you should have got the message? You can't just roll the ball out there and win. Like, I can't figure out how we got here. There isn't the right message. I don't understand. I don't even know how this is physically possible.
It's just all bad. I mean, the offense. I mean, I know everybody's going to call about the offense today, but Reese, I mean, we got to be able to do something. What's that? Okay, so it's 14 against Stanford. We had 15 against Marshall before we scored a garbage touchdown, and Ohio State was 10. I mean, how is that good enough? If you look at our unit, you have 3 guys that are going to play in the NFL probably for a long time on your offensive line. You have the best tight end in the country. Your running backs are solid, but your receivers, okay, Styles, Lindsey, if they could do a little something, we should be able to produce more. That's why I'm looking at the coaching. with that lineup. I mean, just look all over the college football landscape and look at some of these teams that can just score, and we never can.
Yeah, offensive football looks way harder than it has ever been made to look when it's Notre Dame, and I don't understand why. It looks so hard to just get things going and just like find a rhythm and a flow. It looks so hard for us. And I know some of it is legitimately personnel, but some of it is structure and what you're trying to do. It can't look this hard all the time. It can't.
When we talk about the best offensive coaches in the country, your Lane Kiffins, your Steve Sarkisians, your Josh Heupel, all those guys, what we always seem to talk about and what you hear is scheme, scheme, scheme. I mean, look at Hendon Hooker. He was no good at Virginia Tech, and look at him at Tennessee. He didn't even win the job when he first got there. All these coaches, their schemes. Lincoln Riley, it's the schemes. Almost anybody's successful in their scheme. With Tommy, what has he really done at Notre Dame, honestly?
I know, but every time I ask that, I'm told I'm too dumb to understand, and he's a high-level football mind, and maybe he doesn't have the personnel to do what he really wants to do. And John, you're dumb. You don't know what you're looking at. The guy sees the game in a better way than everybody else. All I know is I see a lot of teams with less talent that have better offenses, and that's just not okay. Yeah. That's what it all comes down to.
Jeff Brom at Purdue puts a better offense out every year than we do.
I don't understand it. It's.
I mean,
why couldn't we run the ball? Is it just that they put too many guys in the box, so then we just couldn't run? They're giving up between 200 and 300 yards rushing a week, and then we couldn't get over 150. Why?
Yeah, this isn't Clemson. This was one of the worst defenses in the country.
It doesn't make sense to me, man. And then how do you feel about the defense where they only give up 16, but you're mad at them too? Even though they give up 16, you're mad at them. We're all messed up.
We're going to hear about the offense all day, but the defense, it seems like the big thing they have to do, like we only give up 16, but we give these long drives. We never get off the field on third down.
Yeah.
It seems like. And you give up chunk yards every second half. Am I wrong by saying that?
No, it seems like they do. And you know what else was weird about this game? Their rushing yardage, we gave up 288 through the air, which offends me. But their rushing yardage was not a lot. But the yards they got came in the second half on early down runs where they were getting 6 or 7 or 8 right up the middle with, what's his name? Finkelstein, Findler, what's that guy's name? An F.
Yeah.
Whatever. Finkel.
How many times did
whatever.
The ball hit the ground? They fumbled how many times that we never can get on it?
Man, I don't know, man. And then listen, I got to ask you this too. I wanted Freeman to get this job. My man looks like he's scrambling for answers right now, and that is scary because he does look like he's looking for answers like I am, and it's just makes me a little nervous.
Yeah. It's I don't know. We're all calling. We're trying to get the answers.
Dude, like what you just sighed and just were like, I don't know. Like that was me all day yesterday. Like I don't have any easy answers. I just cannot believe that's what we saw at home again.
Potential. This team is not this bad talent-wise. They're not playing to their potential. So it has to be coaching.
That's what I'm saying. That's why there's a disconnect. There's got to be a disconnect because there's no way the talent's this bad. Something isn't connecting.
No, it's not.
But what and why? Because if we don't answer that, we're going to have this show every week and I'm going to be bald.
Yeah. I mean, to go back to the offense real quick, how can all of us calling your show and talking right now see? I mean, did you just watch Tobias Merriweather run routes and run by guys and jump up and catch it, and you see how long his arms are, and that looks like an NFL play, and he's been sitting on the bench all year. How can we see that and no one else can?
Because you're not there at practice. You don't see the reliability. You don't see the traits. You're not seeing the consistency in the blocking they want to see in practice that we we just see the big body and want him to catch, but there's more. Notre Dame's not good enough to be in the position to be that picky. You need a spark. You found one, and you chose to not use it again. Hate it.
I mean, how smooth did he look coming out of the cut and jumping and catching that ball?
Yep.
I mean, when he's not open, he's open.
You
just throw it up to him.
And he's got that big body. It's just, why make life harder than it has to be? I don't get it. And I also agree, I don't know if it was you or somebody else talking about the usage of the running backs. I don't get it. Again, I know Estime fumbled late, but before that, he didn't get a carry till the second quarter. I get that he's like your bruising guy, but to me, he was your best guy in the game before. Ride the hot hand. They don't seem to want to do that either in structure. I don't quite get it.
No, there's definitely got to be some regrouping with the defense hasn't been perfect, but you should win every college football game if you give 20. If you give up 20 or less, you should win a college football game every time.
Yep.
Their offense really needs to regroup.
Yeah. It's amazing, though, how many problems I could find to complain about the defense when they give up 16, which is a winning effort every single football game anybody plays at any level. It's wild, but here we are.
All right, John, I'm going to get off and let some other guys get on, but my last thought is I think maybe we just need to get a lot of young players playing time. Obviously, this season,
Oh, yeah. No. That's all changed. Now you're playing for pride and ruining other people's seasons. Now's the time where the young guys get to play because the older guys that were supposed to be established failed. So guess what? We're going to let younger guys that want to try harder and get their experience going now. So in a couple years, we're in a better spot because the older guys didn't get the job done. So you lost your privilege. Yeah, you had your chance.
So get the young guys in, and I want to see more Prince Cowley. I want to see more Merriweather. Get them young guys some time.
I agree with you. And the argument against that is over because you gave those older guys the chance and they all failed. So if you're not upholding the culture, maybe we'll find younger guys that are built a little different. It's upsetting, man. But don't let it ruin your week. Try and have a good day.
I'll try, but you try to get through these next couple hours. It's going to be, I'm sure a lot of people are going to be calling angry. So
hey, that's what I'm here for, man. We got to get through this together. That's what I'm here for. Telling you, 1-800-COUNSELING. Give me a call.
All right, John, go Irish. Hopefully we can. You know what this team would do though? They would probably go off and start winning a bunch of games after losing that game.
You know what they're gonna do? Watch them beat UNLV like 45-0, and then nobody knows what to think at all.
Yeah.
Oh gosh.
All right, guys, we'll talk to you.
All right. Thanks for the call, man. Appreciate it. We're going to go 443-707-502, and I got a bunch after that. I'll be back in 10 seconds. Trust me, I don't think any of you guys want to see me blowing my nose for the sinus issues I have when the weather turns from hot to cold here. So I have to step off and do that. Sorry about that. 443, you're talking to me. You're on the air.
Hey, John, how are you?
Well, I'm making it. I'm just a little confused of where we're at and why and how we got here. What do you make of this situation?
Well, I'm going to give you some perspective.
Okay.
And I understand that Nick Saban isn't a coach before, but Nick Saban's first season at Alabama was 7-6, and one of those 6 losses was to Louisiana Monroe at home.
All right.
So it's not like.
But wait a second. Wait a second, though. Wouldn't the argument be, though, when Saban inherited that program, it was in the absolute dumpster and he had to rebuild it from a horrible spot. Marcus Freeman didn't inherit that. He inherited it starting at a higher level. So I don't know if that's fair or not, because what Saban inherited the first year at Alabama was in a lot worse spot than what Freeman got.
Oh, absolutely. I'm not going to argue that. I'm just going to say that maybe because this is his first job, that Marcus Freeman needs to learn certain things that Saban had already known when trying to rebuild the then garbage Alabama football program.
Now that part is fair. That part I think is fair, though, because Saban still had some, experience with that, and it is new for Freeman. But I still thought I built in learning curves, but the learning curve can't be losing to Stanford and Marshall.
I did too.
The learning curve has to be losing to Ohio State and Clemson, not these ones. That's why this drop back is so upsetting. I expected a learning curve, not against these two teams. That's where I'm stuck.
The thing that I'm going to touch on a little bit here, the most disturbing thing that I watched on Saturday was the fact that Drew Pine was looking at the sideline every single play. It just seemed like he was so unconfident in what was being called. I learned later that it's part of what Tommy calls his scan offense. I'm so confused as to what that means. But I feel like something's going to change there, because it looks like Pine just isn't confident under center.
Yeah, well, and some of it is, this is all kind of new for him too. Handful of games into being, not even a handful of games in as being a starter. I just don't understand the structure of that offense. I don't understand why the offensive line regressed. I don't understand a lot of it.
I think we saw why he lost the quarterback competition. What was it, 2-3 times in a row?
Yeah, it's tough. And you do bring up a good point, though. And I mentioned it yesterday in the post-game show. I liked what Pine was doing the last couple of games, where he was in a rhythm and he was kind of feeling it a little bit. He was not Saturday. He was not having a good day throwing the ball, was off. That's where the limitations of a guy like Pine really come up and bite you. When he's hot, you can live with it. But when he's not, that's where it really shows. And he had a rough night, and it was ugly.
And because they lost to Stanford, I'm worried now about Navy. Am I going to be witnessing a Notre Dame loss?
Hey, the problem with Navy is you get a couple 3 and outs, and then you give the ball back to them. There goes a half a quarter, right? It's a real concern. That seriously.
It's going to be pretty weird watching that. And before I go, I wanted to tell everyone, hey, the hockey team is ranked 18 in the country and picked up a sweep this weekend over Northern Michigan.
There you go. Maybe I need to do always Irish hockey coverage instead.
Yeah.
Or the fencing team. Maybe that's what I'll do. The fencing team that always seems to win championships. I'll do a Notre Dame fencing program. They're always good. I like that. I'll get my little sword out there on guard. Oh, you still there? Did I lose you? Well, I don't know. I didn't hang up on them. They dropped off, I think. Oh, my God. Matt Cawthon, $10 holler. I appreciate that. Reese needs to go. Let anybody that wants to try handed OC. Tobias needs to redshirt. Season is over. Yeah, I guess that's one way to look at it and get you a full extra year on the back end of it. Listen, I don't know whether this is fair or not. We're going to go 707 next. 502 336 are going to be the next three. More after that as well. I don't. John says accountability. Everybody says accountability. What does that look like? What does that look like? Everybody says execution and accountability are the two things that everybody talks about. What do those look like in practice this week? What does it look like? What is acceptable for execution and accountability? Because there isn't enough. If there was enough, you wouldn't get the Marshall result and this result. So they say those things all the time, but what do they look like? Could it, listen, whether you think Reese is doing a good job, bad job, whatever, changes week to week, is it a situation where it might be healthier for everybody if Reese just pursues NFL dreams, goes in there as a quarterback coach or something and works his way up? And then that way, it looks like it's kind of a half promotion. He could go to the NFL. That's never going to be looked at negatively. Then Freeman could get new eyes on this offense. Maybe a guy that isn't a Notre Dame guy, build a disconnect, get new eyes on the offense. Everybody wins in that regard. Freeman gets some new eyes here. Tommy could go pursue new dreams. It doesn't look like it failed. It's just like, we're going to do our own thing. Maybe that's what needs to happen to benefit everybody. I don't know. 707. Good morning. Hello.
Good morning, John.
Hello.
Hey, so I'm thinking I'm going to apply for the offensive coordinator position, send it to Marcus Freeman, because I can do a better job than what's happening up in the booth. So
it's frustrating, isn't it?
My job, really. Anyways, so I'm thinking this week, slap Steve Angeli in because he can't do much worse. Might as well give him some time in there under center. Every player that touches the ball on offense, they have to be carrying around the ball all week. And I would tell everyone on campus, if you see this player with this ball, you try to slap it out of their hand. You try to knock it out. Whatever. I remember, I believe it was Lou Holtz that did that. But they would have to be carrying the ball around, estimate, understand he's a dog, he's a beast, but that was a very crucial turnover at a crucial time in the game. You know what I'm saying? So there has to be some accountability on the players, but when you're talking about accountability and execution, I'm looking at the coaches, especially one in particular.
So if you were Marcus Freeman, and you have this fire, burning in your lap right now, and everybody's panicking, what are you doing this week with your coaches and your players to turn the tide? What is your angle? What can be done?
Well, if there's a house on fire or a building on fire, you got to find the source of the fire. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
And unfortunately, we have a few sources of fires. So those have to be identified. I think we all know the main source of the fire. But also, you got to also look at some of the assistant coaches as well. This would be all on the coaches if I was Marcus Freeman. I mean, no one's job is safe. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
All except, I believe, Harry Heastand, because I really don't want to put it on the offensive line because the offensive line isn't the one making these stupid calls. Those calls are coming from up top. You know what I'm saying? So, I believe that we have someone putting the offense in bad positions, making just idiotic play calls. They just need to get back down to the basics of football. How to run the football, how to block, how to catch. You know what I'm saying? Just straight up Pee-wee football basics. It's ridiculous, dude.
Yeah.
But sometimes you got to go back to the source to get better. You know what I'm saying? Tackling drills, all types of what seemingly would be, what these players learn from Pee-wee.
You know what I'm saying? It's like that has been lost for some reason. But I would just throw Steve Angeli back there. Hell, you can even give Brian Paulus III opportunity. Why not? Why not? I mean, can it get much worse than this? There would be, in my opinion, or if I was there would be new, different quarterback. We try throwing some of these freshmen or some of those ones that haven't played too much to throw them in the game. I don't know, John. I mean,
It's rough. Struggling for answers. I think everybody is.
yeah, but that's where I am with the whole situation, man.
Well,
And it's got to be week to week.
It's going to have to be.
I think they overlooked. Who the hell we just played?
Man, they got you so turned around.
Stanford. Look how bad it is. We just played Stanford. Yeah,
they got you so messed up you don't even remember 2 days ago.
Dude, it's so bad, and then after watching, so all day, we had a 7:30 game, all day I'm watching this football. And these teams, they look good, even when they lose, you know what I'm saying? It's like they playing on a different level. And then I turn the game on 7:30, and it's like, what the hell am I watching, man? What is this? Like, this isn't Friday Night Lights.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? This
Yep.
is college football. It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous, man. So I don't know where we go from here, but I would just try anything at this point. I mean,
well, yeah, but you realize you do realize there's no way the coaches look at it that way. They don't look at it as fans like you just need to try everything, empty the benches, let all the freshmen play. Like they don't want to do that either. So now you're in an in-between where your frontline guys, your veteran guys aren't playing winning football. I want to get younger guys experience. They don't trust them yet. Then you're in the middle. And that's a bad spot to be in. It's right where we are.
I get it. But you know what? At least you could say we could be calling the next day and saying, at least he tried.
Yeah. And you would be able to say you're building for the future because younger guys could get that experience and be here in a few years when theoretically this all turns around. Their individual learning curves would go quicker. I totally get that. I just know the coaches don't want to risk more losses by doing it. But my argument is you're losing with your guys you thought were the best anyways.
Exactly.
What are they doing?
So,
they didn't protect your own turf against Marshall and Stanford. What else? How much worse can it get if you play a young guy?
And look, I'll go there. I swear, dude. J.D. Bertrand, man. I just want to. I don't know, dude. Every time I see him out there on the field, I get pissed off.
Oh, so what? You want him to keep getting knocked out for halves with those penalties? Is that what you want?
Yes.
Yeah.
Anything.
There you go.
You know what I'm saying? I don't want to wish anything bad on any players, but dude, I mean, if they're not yanking him for a younger, faster, longer player because he's a veteran and he's a captain or whatever the hell.
Yeah.
Then it's like if he gets out for a targeting penalty, so be it. Because it sure seems as though our defense plays a lot faster and better when he's not in the game. You know what I'm saying? I mean, we've all seen these trends, but they still continue to do the same thing, banging their head against the wall with the same thing. It's insanity. You know what I'm saying? So
I know it's insanity, and you know what else? It's insanity, but at the same time, I know I'm going to fire up my Peacock this weekend and watch the Irish play UNLV. Can't wait.
You know where I'm pissed off, John? Oh, so remember, I said that Tommy Rees a couple of weeks back was a third-star quarterback, played was a three-star quarterback, played like a three-star at Notre Dame, and he's a 3-star coach. And he was Kelly's quarterback, Kelly's offensive coordinator, all this stuff.
And he learned from the head guy with the 3-star personality, Brian Kelly. It all lines up. That's perfect. Yeah, it all lines up. That's good.
Exactly. So,
man.
What pisses me off is I bought Clemson tickets, dude.
Ooh. Hey, I'll see you there. I'm gonna be there. I'm gonna be in town all weekend. I got the house. I'm not giving it up now. I'll be there Friday and Saturday night. Let's make some moves. We could have a good time.
Man, my wife just started cracking up, man. She was upset as well, but we're like, oh, I got an email. There's 10 tickets left, man. You want to make it a weekend? She's like, yeah, let's do it. And then they went out there and they did what they did, man. It's like, oh my God.
But hey, if you come to town, have fun, enjoy being in Notre Dame. But I don't know how much buzz there's going to be by that time. It should be cold. It could be dark in South Bend, man. Let's worry about one thing at a time. Let's beat UNLV first, and then we'll talk about that.
Hey, where are you going to be at, John? I heard you the other day say you were going to be at the Compton lot?
Yeah, the Compton lot's going to be where our big tailgate will be for Clemson. Compton, so that'll be where it is. Big setup, music, food, drinks, everything. Good setup. We'll hook it up. We'll connect closer. Yeah.
Definitely. Well, I'll mosey over there, man, because I'm going to need a couple drinks and stuff before this game.
Hey, that's what I'm talking about. Come find me, man. I'll get you in a good spot. We'll hook it up. Thanks for the call, man. Have a good one.
All right, John.
We'll see you. Hang in there. Hey, I got him to sound a little more energetic towards the end. John is lying to this dude. What? Me saying I'm going to hang out with him? You guys, come on. That's mean. I'll hang out with anybody. This is hard to believe. I make friends everywhere I go because I talk. I know that's hard to believe. People are saying Foskey is losing draft equity. I ain't going to lie. I've been wondering where the production is at the highest level. I'm not going to lie. It's a struggle. I've been trying to find it. Where's the production? Where's he's your guy on those third down? I need a little more out of him. I don't know if he's playing with a nagging injury or what. All right, we're into the last hour. We got a bunch of calls. We're going to have to go through them even faster. I want to get you all in. 502, I'm talking to you.
What's up, John?
Good morning. What do you make of all this? How are we thinking and feeling our way through this nightmare?
Oh, God, I think the only way we're going to be able to do this is we burn our eyes out. This is the worst ever.
It's pretty rough to take. I was just watching it stunned. I just couldn't believe this is what we got. So where do you start dissecting this? Where do you even start?
I was probably about 5 bourbon and cokes in by the second quarter of that type of night,
Yep.
And just I know Kent keeps saying it's not Reese's fault. Reese designed the play that we had the touchdown called back where the tight end was running down the field, and the play's called back. He designed that play. He sucks. He's got to go.
Yeah, man, I really don't know if this is fair or not, but a lot of people say you would be a lot better off if you got rid of the last standing Brian Kelly long-term piece of this and then had a clean slate. And I never knew if that was fair. I didn't know if that was fair or not, though, or if that was a cheap shot. But I almost start thinking it might be better for everybody, not just for Notre Dame, but for Tommy, too, to try something new. I don't know.
The only reason Reese is the offensive coordinator at Notre Dame is because he played at Notre Dame and he's Brian Kelly's boy. He should have went to LSU. Just like everybody says, we should have hired a head coach with experience. Tommy Reese had no offensive coordinating experience. He was a quarterback at Notre Dame. Your last caller said 3-star. He's a 2-star coach. He's got to go.
Yeah, it's just rough. Now, what are you going to say if somebody said to you to that, Well, wait till they get the talent in there, and his offense will look a lot better with 5 more good receivers. And then when CJ comes in, this all really take off. What would your response be if somebody said that?
The same as I've posted in my chat. This is Matthew Logston, by the way. Reese, I don't know what the hell he's running. Everybody's been saying, though, he's trying to run something that he just sees in his mind instead of running what he has. You do not have an NFL team. You have an Ivy League team. So work with what you got, Reese, because you're not cutting it. We were supposed to have been getting the younger guys in this game and the next game. Now we have to sit here and figure out how we're going to maybe cover a spread or even win against UNLV. We've lost the games that we should have won, other than Ohio State, and we won the games that we shouldn't have won. This is pathetic.
I don't know how we got here. Like, I'm really struggling with, how did we feel like we were trending up in the right direction, felt a little better after the last couple games, and then you come back home in front of your crowd at night with momentum against a 1-4 team that's a rival of yours, and that's what you get. How is that even possible that in that setup, that's the performance we got? I just can't wrap my mind around how that came to be.
I think the whole Notre Dame culture it's not even just the grades, it's just this whole culture has turned this, team into what they are. We have not been relevant since the early 90s. That was the last time that you could be, on the top when it came to academics and football. Every other team, Ohio State, Bama, none of those kids they're not even going to class. You know what I'm saying? I mean, Notre Dame, they're supposed to be these pre-med lawyers, all this other shit. Excuse my language. But, they go, those other teams like Bama and Ohio State, they major in football. They are not there to do anything else. That's why we can't even get a transfer. The transfer has to be the medical program for Notre Dame to accept them or graduate. I mean, it's insane.
It is. But see, here's my problem with that. I'm already building in that additional hurdle to Notre Dame's success. I am accounting for that when I do a big calculation of like how good we're going to be this year. A part of that calculation didn't involve losing to these guys. You want to talk about the grades? We just lost to it, one of the only teams with stricter academics than we have. Like, there's just something's wrong. There is a disconnect, man. There's a disconnect. Something is not hitting right. This should just not even be possible, what we just saw.
Marcus Freeman needs to cut the nice guy. You got the job, dude. We don't have to. We're not doing commercials and we're not doing little movie skits no more. We're playing football. Get with the program or get out.
Yeah, he's got some really tough decisions to make now and in the offseason. Very tough decisions. And he's got a lot to navigate, and it isn't pretty. So what would you try and do short term for this week? Try and get us back on track. What would you do?
Like I said, you got to get in these players' rear ends. I'm going to calm my mouth down a little bit. But, I mean, we're not playing games here. We're playing football. We're playing major college football. Act like it. Get in the players and figure out whoever Reese's replacement is going to be too, because he needs to go at the end of the season. And next year, if they can't win, the same garbage is happening. Then Freeman's got to go.
Oh man,
league or bust, baby.
This is rough. Well, we'll see if we could get it straightened out. But thanks for the call today. Don't let it ruin your week.
Have a good one, man.
Have a good one. And thanks for being here all the time, too, man. Matthew's here all the time. I really appreciate that. All right. Here's the deal. Because My life is the way it is. The phone system just cut out. So let me try and recall real quick. I don't know what happened. The entire phone line cut out. That's just the way my life goes, folks. See if I can try this again. I may or may not be able to.
Thank you for calling Call-In Studios host and call screener line. Please enter your show or meeting.
Let's see. Sorry to
Enter your
do this.
6-digit PIN number.
Let's see if that did it.
Welcome, host. You are now in the host room and can manage your callers from the Call-In Studio web interface.
Back on the air. I don't know what the hell happened. Nothing's easy today. I'm telling you, I'm having a struggle. All right, let's see if we're back up. 336. Let's see if you're in the mix. Do I still got you?
Yeah, I'm here.
Beautiful. So sorry about that little delay. The phone's cut off on me. So what are you thinking here? Where are you at with this week?
So I'm going to be a little more positive than most of you callers.
Hey, I think we need that, by the way. We need that. Balance it out. Give me something on the other side. I like this.
I'm going to start off by recalibrating the expectation for this year. For this year, there's only one goal left, and that is find a way to get to 6-6 and get to a bowl game. That's it. I don't really care about anything else. I don't, we talked last week about USC and not wanting to put that rivalry. That's out the window now in my thought process. Get to 6-6, get to a bowl game because
you need that experience.
Minimum, you want those extra at minimum. That's you have to at least get there. I'm still of the opinion that long term that Notre Dame is moving in the right direction, in spite of what we saw this past weekend. This year they're not, but I think long term they are.
So you're looking now. Wait a second. Then, so you're looking at real steps back to take some forward. Like you realize that's hard for people to accept. You saying overall, I think this is going to end up okay, but for now, it's going the other way, right? Like people want it to gradually get better this year and then be better overall next year. So how do you get from where it's so bad now but feel good overall? How are you connecting those two facts?
What I'll say is that I don't fully agree with your assessment when you talked about a couple callers ago when you talked about Nick Saban's first year and going 7-6 and saying he inherited a crappy team that he had to revamp entirely.
Yeah.
I think that Freeman inherited less talent than we think he did.
Now wait a second.
When you look up,
okay,
go ahead.
I agree with you. And in the summer, when I did my season previews, I even said, I have a big concern here that there's less talent than we think there is, and that it could be an issue in this guy's first year. I went into the season baking that into the cake. And so I'm accounting for that. And even when I account for that fact, it can't involve losing to Stanford and Marshall at home. I agree with you, but it can't be this bad. Like, I agree with your philosophy, but it wasn't this bad. Not enough to justify these results.
I think it's worse than what you baked into what you baked into
Oh
your
man,
calculation.
That's a bad talent deficit to have to dig out of then.
Yeah.
Like that's a bad spot then.
I will give you my examples. You start out with the wide receivers because that's the room I think we see week in, week out is the worst room in our.
I agree with you.
Offense.
I agree with you, and it shows. It's very obvious too. I agree with you.
Braden Lindsey is football slow. He might be track fast. He's football slow. He doesn't move fast in pass. He doesn't cut fast. He's not fast when it actually matters when you put the pads on. You can talk about 4.3 speed when he runs on a straight line in track. That's irrelevant. That doesn't matter. Because if you're going to be fast, for it to matter on the football field, you need to be fast in pads and fast when you cut. He's not fast. He's football slow.
Lorenzo Styles is a corner. Like, I just watching this past week, the amount of times where the ball just went through his hands or he dropped it, he's not a wide receiver. There's a reason Ohio State was recruiting that corner. They got that evaluation right, in my opinion.
Yeah, man, this is just tough. This is all just tough. None of these are bad problems to have.
Yeah. But you look past that, and you have a bunch of unproven, kind of, random guys. I agree we should see more of Merriweather. We should see more of a lot of younger guys going forward. But I am of the opinion that when we talked about improved talent in the wide receiver room, the skill position players coming in this next class, when you look at Edwards and you look at Jeremiah Love, who committed this weekend.
Yeah, and Flores.
You look at
James.
Lamar, James, Greathouse, Flores. Those are a level player thing that Notre Dame doesn't have on the roster right now, in my opinion, with the maybe exception of Spice Merriweather. Like, Braden Leslie wasn't a, top 100 wide receiver when he came in. He was a top 250 wide receiver or something like that. Lorenzo Styles, I think a lot of evaluation had him as a corner. Like, he's out of position.
But, like, it still can't be this bad, though, is my point. I understand everything you're saying, but it still can't look this bad against who it has looked this bad against. That's my point.
I think I'll say this. The one thing I agree with a lot of the callers that Reese is not the answer. I was hoping coming into the season that, like many people were, that he was being held back by Brian Kelly from implementing a, powerful, innovative offense. I think what I've realized over the past 6 games is he was held back by Brian Kelly from being worse than Brian Kelly was. And I think that what Freeman needs to do, and I don't agree with the people calling for Brian Hartline to be the offensive coordinator. Freeman needs to find, between now and the end of the season, and I mean, I don't know about calling for Reese to be gone this year, because that might not be a good, like, that creates a lot of instability when you do that.
Yeah.
But he needs to find an offensive coordinator. I would prefer it to be someone who's proven, because, if you elevate Stuckey or McCall or Parker to the OC job,
then you're in the same position. You can't do that. You're in the exact same position than hiring a first-time guy. If you're doing it, it can't be from inside. The whole point of doing it is I want somebody outside to get fresh eyes on this mess. If we're doing it, it's got to be from the outside, because a big part of it is I want somebody with no connection to Notre Dame to look at this and go, oh, here's what we need to do. Like, I want fresh eyes.
If Reese is still the offensive coordinator next year, then the Marcus Freeman experiment will not work at Notre Dame.
Well, he's got big decisions to make. Big decisions to make.
If he lets go of Reese, I am of the opinion that the Al Golden hire, maybe not the greatest hire in the world. I think Al Golden has done all right. Like, that 16 points allowed to Stanford. Stanford has enough offensively to score points. Like,
yeah,
the holding 16 points, holding Ohio State, he has continually, with the exception of a few bad play calls every game that he seems to just kind of brain fart his way into making one bad play call, and you're like, what was that? He has done a solid enough job as a defense coordinator to put the offense in a position to actually win games. The offense does not do their job.
Yep, it's a problem.
If you're Freeman, you have to understand that your job security is not in danger right now. But if you hold on to Reese, you're going to have a shorter leash as time goes by.
But the thing is, that all depends on if he thinks that or not. That's the part of this we don't know. Does Marcus sit there and say that too? Or does he go, man, Tommy's my guy. Why isn't it all working out? Like, That's the part that you need to ask.
There was a couple calls ago where they talked about what Freeman said during the press conference, where he's like, where he was basically vouching for Reese. And I'm sorry, but when you talk about coach speak for players, where you're not going to be like, yeah, this guy sucks and he can't do anything.
Yeah.
Like, as a coach, you're not going to do that. As the head coach, you're not going to, in the middle of the season, be like, my offensive coordinator sucks and we need to get rid of him. Like, you can't do that publicly right now.
Yeah.
You can't do that publicly.
Yeah, and everybody wants to hear that, though, so it's a lose-lose. We all want to hear it. He can't say it even if he thinks it, so everybody's mad.
We don't want to hear it, but to me, it's the same as coach speak for players.
Yeah, it's very frustrating.
I am of the opinion that there are, and I'll say this. We talk about younger players playing. I am one of the people who is on board with the idea that time is not a winning starting quarterback. He is a adequate filling guy if someone gets hurt.
Yep, that doesn't help us the rest of this year. Right? I mean, he's your backup, and it's all a mess.
No.
It's all a mess.
I think there's a little bit of miscommunication. Yeah, he filled in for Buckner. The problem is after Buckner, after the Marshall game, he became the starter, and he is not a starting quarterback.
Yeah, I mean, the whole quarterback room's starting in a bad spot. That's a problem in a problem wrapped in a bigger problem. Because even before Buckner got hurt, I had a problem that you didn't have an established, proven quarterback that you could run out there. Even before we were in this position, I had a problem with where that room was at overall.
This is what I would say is there is no reason at this point in the season. You're 3-3. We've seen what Pine is. He's very limited. He stares down Mayer too much. That might be partially because the receiver can't get open, but he stares down Mayer too much. I would be perfectly fine at this point in the season. I know you might have bad play from him once in a blue moon. I'm perfectly fine seeing Angeli as the starter going forward.
I understand where you're coming from. I don't know if it's going to happen. And a lot of what is being suggested all depends on if Freeman sees it that way or not. But my friend, thank you for the call. I'm going to try and breeze through here, get some more people in. I appreciate you.
All right. Well, I mean, hopefully my long-term prediction is correct, and in 3 years we'll be sitting there looking at Freeman like he suddenly figured it all out.
Man, I really hope so, but he's got some very, very big decisions ahead of him, and they're ones that are going to maybe alter the path of whether this works or not long-term. So he's got a lot on his plate, and you got to hope he figures it out. Thank you.
Yeah.
Take care.
The issue now.
Yep. I'm telling you, you guys in the chat are too much. You know what you're doing. You guys are messing with me. Some of you just know. You know what you're doing. All right. If we need to go a little more than 11, I will do it to get through these calls. Let's go. 937. Maybe if I can click on it. 937, you're up.
Hello, John.
Good morning. What do you make of all of this that you've witnessed and now heard and seen?
Well, I would say I'm probably one of your younger listeners at 30, but most of my life is Brian Kelly.
Yep, and that is. And can I tell you how scary that is for your generation? That I realized a lot of those folks that are in college or in their 20s or early 30s who watch this, their only framework of remembering Notre Dame is what they saw from Kelly. That is horrifying, but I'll shut up and let you go.
And, you know, I think everybody was tired of winning 10 games against the average teams, bad teams, and getting blown out against the good teams. And on the flip side, whenever we were in a decent, you know, contested game, like you go back to one against Clemson, I think it was a playoff where Julian Love is out for a couple of series, and they just take advantage of him being out because we have no depth, right? There was a couple of times where he actually had some decent top-end talent, but as soon as they step off the field, we're toast. They throw touchdowns on his backup.
Yep.
Bracey,
you know what?
Bracey goes out one.
Hey, you bring up a really good. You bring up a good point.
OSU.
Yeah. No, you bring up a good point. Notre Dame's had some top line talent that can compete, but they never have enough depth behind it or enough layers to add on to it. You're right.
So, and against OSU, Bracey goes out with a cramp. Ohio State immediately throws a touchdown on his backup, to end the third quarter. Like that's how that goes. We just don't have the depth. And so one reason why I'm for Marcus Freeman, which I think is the whole point why we hired Marcus Freeman, because he's one of the only guys who has proven, at least for a year, that he could bring in talent. And look, we now have the most top 150 guys who are supposed to come in next year than we've ever had before. So this is building depth. I think the future is much brighter than this year. And just to kind of echo, I think the last caller, like I kind of want to point out and say this whole season is Tommy Rees's fault, in my opinion, because I looked OSU averaging 48 points a game. We give up 21. Marshall averaging 19 points a game. We gave up 26 and we threw a pick six. I don't know if we threw 2 pick sixes, but we threw a pick six. We had a lot of turnovers. So our defense, technically held them to 19,
Yeah.
And Cal, they scored 21. We give up 17. North Carolina scores 39. We give up 32. BYU scores 32. We give up 20. Stanford scores 24. We give up 16. But it's our offense. Our offense has only outperformed the opponent's average defensive points per game in one game. That was North Carolina.
Yep. And that's fair. And the other thing is I always hear about like these quarterbacks and like, oh, well, Tommy doesn't have what he needs to work with. Tommy had a hand in recruiting everybody in the quarterback room right now.
Right.
So that is not something where I could just say, oh, it's Kelly, blame the swamp man. No, Reese had a hand in all these guys. He wanted these guys. He wanted Buckner to be his guy. He wanted Pine. Like those were his dudes. Let's go.
Right. And, the whole, I think everybody is right. Our talent evaluation and practice has to stink because.
Yep, it has to, right? There's a disconnect. Something's wrong there. Keep going. I like this angle.
I was so frustrated against Ohio State. I'm from Ohio. I want to be Ohio State so bad. And I watched that game 6 times. And you could almost put that loss on one player. When you talk about actual execution, that was our backup tight end, Ballman. So we had probably 10 runs in that game where Ballman was essentially a fullback or like a pulling lineman. He comes down the line of scrimmage and he's leading the block for Estime, and he whipped. He doesn't even block. Or what they were doing is their linebacker was sitting right behind the line of scrimmage and was kind of waiting on him, and he wasn't curling in to block. He just didn't know who to block, and the times where he did try to block, he failed. And look, he had like the second worst blocker rating on our team before he got hurt, according to like one of the young guys who does some shows. And then they said, well, Eli Raridan has like one of the best blocker ratings. Well, blocking is a physical. It's a physical action. You can't fake it in practice. Like this is something that it's not like, oh, he made some amazing catch in practice. Maybe that'll show up in the game. Like no, this is something you do every. Like this is a physical activity where you have it or you don't have it. Okay.
Yeah.
So how can you not see that in practice and then go out in your biggest game of probably the whole year and run an offense that puts this horrible blocker at the spearhead of one of your main running plays? I mean, we ran that type of run play so much, and we stopped running it in the second half against Marshall. You know what? We actually started running the ball better. That's why we ran the ball better, because we stopped running that play.
Yeah.
But I like Marcus Freeman. I think Marcus Freeman just needs to he's gonna have to man up a little bit. He's gonna have to actually, lead.
Yeah.
He doesn't need to be an offense coordinator, and like that. And like that's the thing. People hire offensive coordinators, defensive coordinators. They try to steal them. These guys are the guys calling the shot during the game. It's just during Sunday through Friday, he needs to, I think, put a little bit more pressure on what he does want. Hey,
Yeah.
Estimate gets 10 touches every half period minimum.
Yep.
Right? Like that should be the case. Why? Like I'm sure. I would hope Marcus Freeman is like, I'm okay if Estimate gets 3 touches in the first half.
Yeah. But here's what I like. First off, really good call, by the way. Here's what I like about what you said the most. Where this is going to come to a head is Freeman's going to have to be no more Mr. Nice Guy and make some really tough decisions and maybe fracture some relationships with some people he's really close to. And that might be hard for a guy who it's his first time having to do it. But he's that guy. And if it comes down to your tenure failing or succeeding, you may have to make those tough decisions, have some very awkward conversations. We are at that point. He's got to start thinking about those things.
Yeah.
And I hate it, but it's true.
During the game, they show a statue of Lou Holtz. You want a statue of Marcus Freeman out there? You're going to have to let some low performers go. That's just the way it is.
Yeah.
And not a single team in the top 15 is going to call up Tommy Rees the day he's fired and say, hey, come work for us. No, none of them. And as a Brian Kelly era, fan, my only goal is to win a national championship, period. It doesn't matter if you win 10 games. I sit here in Ohio, and every time we play Ohio State, we get our butt kicked. And this year, we didn't get our butt kicked. We actually, realistically, we should have won that game.
But it encourages me that you're in that younger age range where you're used to the Kelly era and you have a higher standard than just winning 10 or 11 and then getting killed in a big bowl game or your biggest game of the year.
Right.
I'm glad you at least see that bigger picture.
We're not in the league. We can't be like Michigan last year and say, well, we won the Big Ten and we get smoked in the playoffs. But like we won the Big Ten, and we actually did beat Ohio State. Like we don't get all these shots all the time, like some of the other schools that are in leagues and stuff. So, that's where I'm at. And I guess everybody has an opinion on Buckner and Pine. I think Buckner's really good. That's just my opinion. I think Pine is his timing on the service is really, really off.
Hey, if only Buckner was ever healthy enough, we could actually see it to figure out whether we're right or not, right?
If we had, and Buckner getting hurt was a product of, I think, bad play calling. I played wide receiver. Some of these wide receiver routes blows my mind. It's the route is awful, and Merriweather looks like a stud because he knows how to run a route too. And that's Merriweather needs to play.
Yep. You need a spark.
Young receivers is like one of the easiest positions to walk on the field and play. They do it all the time in the NFL.
Yeah. Yeah.
All the time in the NFL.
So what are you looking at this week? What could be done in the short term to shore this up? Is it give some young guys that could give you a spark, more of a chance? Like, what can you do in this 1 week where you got to go back out there and try and stop the bleeding?
Well, for me, I don't really put a whole lot into this season because I think the season is just it is what it is. I guess whatever it takes to get Tommy Rees fired, in my opinion. It's the only thing that's going to save our future. But Marcus Freeman needs to really, I think, sit down and discuss what he wants from the offense because, and I think it does come down to we need to run the ball. And we need to really make a decision on who needs to run the ball.
Yep.
No more of this. No more of this. Tyree, Diggs, Estimate, and then Estimate. What that Stanford guy got freaking 35 touches.
Yep. Yep. It's man, it's
Estimate get 35 touches.
yeah, it's all
If we ran
frustrating.
Estimate, do you think we would have scored more than 2 touchdowns if Estimate? I know Estimate had the big fumble.
Yeah, I was gonna
but
say yes, but then again, now I got a history of him fumbling twice where you just can't. I want the guy to get the ball 30 times, but then now he's fumbling. Now I look like an idiot for that. Everything's going wrong on me. Man.
Hey, I still think we score more than 14 if Estimate runs the ball 30 times.
I would like to think
Holy cow.
so too. I mean, man, this is so tough. I don't know, man. We'll see what happens this week, but really good thoughts.
Yeah.
I appreciate the call, Locke. Call me again.
Yeah, will do.
Have a good one, man. Thanks for the call. Hey, keep your head up there in Ohio State territory.
Oh.
And stay away from Kent. Stay away from Kent. He's probably your next door neighbor in Ohio. He lives right next to you. You guys could be friends.
All right.
Have a good one.
Yep.
Oh, man. Here's the deal. It's almost 11. We're going past 11. I have too many calls. We're going to keep them going. I don't care what else I have to do today. So 812-281-4669. You're the next one's up. Dr. John with the super chat. And I like how his name said Dr. John. So I want to mention that. Thanks for the super chat, Dr. John. Call me Wednesday. Jacob Saylor, $10 holler. Play calling so bad it seems on purpose. Don't think it's all Drew's fault. They're asking too much. Quarterback scared, and it's a default to Mayer. Listen, he's already limited. So if things aren't going perfect, you already have a limited quarterback. You're going to have extra issues. So that makes it rough. And I get why Mayer's your default, not when everybody's guarding him. All right, I need a break to clear the old sinuses. 10 seconds. 812-281-4669. You're coming up. This show is not ending at 11. No, we're going to keep going. Now with it. Oh, boy. 812, what do you do?
What up, John?
What's going on? What do you make of all this morning? There's a lot going on. Where are you at in all this?
Warm blankets.
That's one
He
that
hired a bunch of warm blankets, comfortable things, people he knew, but people he didn't know. Warm blankets. It's not just Tommy. Wasn't one of them a podcaster or a blogger? Didn't he literally admit it on his show? Hey, guess where I'm going Monday? Going to Notre Dame to coach. Didn't that happen?
Who was it then? Who
Weren't those red
was it?
flags?
Laurinaitis?
I don't
Who was it? Who was that?
I think so. I think Laurinaitis was his name. That sounds right. Warm blankets. Hired a bunch of people he knew and people he was comfortable with.
Now, all right. So that's a
how
good
warm and fuzzy our jobs are.
Now, that can be good and bad, right? Like, I understand the theory that you would want to hire people you have a history with or are comfortable with to ease into the job. I understand that being appealing, but there's also a catch on the back end too. And I think we're catching on the downside of that.
It never works. Kelly did it when he came here. John, I live right outside of Louisville, Kentucky, so I hear a lot of Louisville and UK stuff. Mark Stoops did it at Kentucky. He finally figured out what it was going to take, got rid of his buddies, hired people on merit, and look at them.
Yep. Yeah, that makes
They're
sense.
not the laughing stock of the SEC anymore.
So what do you think needs to happen here then? You get through this season, however you limp through it, and then sit there and take a long evaluation of where you're at? Does it concern you that if you flip
No.
Tommy, all your recruiting's messed up? And what about Carr if he likes Reese? Do you worry about that being in the mix, or is this such a big picture item you can't risk it anymore? You got to make a change. There's a lot that goes into this.
Yes. He needs to have a short list of who needs to go, and he also needs to have a short list of who needs to get hired by Thanksgiving. I don't think he waits till the end of the season. Too many moving parts. There's way too many head coaching jobs out there to wait.
See, I think it's very, very not Notre Dame to do that. In this situation with a new coach and everybody trying to figure out what's going on, I would be shocked if that happened in the season. I'd be impressed with it because it'd be the ultimate what we're getting isn't good enough message. I would be shocked, though. I really don't see that happening. Do you?
Well, speaking of Notre Dame, when was the last time we won a championship again?
When I was 4 years old. It's been a while.
Because Notre Dame's been working.
Yep.
So no, I didn't say he had to make it public. I just said he needed a short list.
Right.
You know, and self-evaluation would be great too.
Hey, Marcus looks like he's fishing for answers up there, and that makes me a little nervous, doesn't he? The execution mentioned 27 times in the post-game show. The interview room kind of tells me that's a guy struggling, and he grabbed onto execution, and that was the answer, man. 27 times.
Yeah. Who told him to say that?
Probably Brian Kelly.
No
Brian Kelly, because he was going to execute the whole team.
Hey, listen to these press conferences. Does not sound like the man who took this job.
I've honestly agreed with you, and that makes me a little nervous. I have thought that at times, and it makes me nervous. It's a guy searching, and maybe he needs to cover that up a little bit more and look like he has it more figured out than he does, because it's looked a little iffy. And that presser the other night, that's a guy searching for answers he can't find easy.
Yes. Yeah. Well, and I still go back to, and everybody hates it, so I kind of like saying it. All the answers to all the questions is sitting 3 seats down on Big Noon Fox Saturday from Brady Quinn. Nobody wants to admit it, but if we're going to talk football, let's talk football. I'm not talking about the academics or the culture or anything.
I got people telling me that they're grooming Brady Quinn to be the next athletic director at Notre Dame. Where do you want him? On the sidelines? I got half the people I talk to telling me they wouldn't be surprised if that guy's the AD soon. I'm not kidding.
Yeah. And his first hire can be Urban.
Oh, man. Do you – is the – but is it –
3 seats down from Brady. I didn't say – shoved in between the bush push. Like I love looking at their two ugly heads every day. Like I've got to look at the bush push to watch that show.
Let me ask this. Do you think there's enough dirt and baggage on Urban that's over now for at least Notre Dame? I could see somebody else taking a flyer, but I almost think there's just enough baggage on that guy now and enough dirt that it's never going to happen. Am I wrong there, or that's just my read on it?
I think I think being Notre Dame, and I love that. You need to put that on a shirt. The Notre Dame part will never let it happen.
Yeah, that's kind of what I figured.
Ohio State did. They knew. Ohio State knew about the Urban dirt leaving Florida. They didn't hire him for Urban. They hired him for who Urban brought. They knew he was going to have a meltdown. You hire him, you bring him in 3 to 5 years. You might win a championship. When he has his meltdown, you hand it over to the coach. Let him hand it over to the coaching staff. To the people he brought in.
But
done. And if it's not Notre Dame, then wherever he goes, and that's what happens.
Yeah. I don't think Notre Dame's going to go down that path. I just don't. I just don't. I think there's too much dirt on that guy. So what do you do in the short term, man? How do you get this righted? How do you get this righted this week, the next couple games? What is the quickest fix to Band-Aid this to get us a couple wins here?
You got to rub some dirt on it. Just rub dirt on it. You have to. That's what I was told when I was a kid. Every time I fell off the tractor, rub some dirt on it. It'll quit bleeding.
Yeah, they got to get tough again, and they got to get mad. And I need to see both fast.
Yeah. I see a bunch of kids not interested in football.
That's upsetting. That just can't be. How can you look sluggish starting out a game in front of the home crowd at Notre Dame? I just do not understand how that's even possible. I don't get how that happens. If it's not entitlement, if it's not entitlement, I don't understand how you could play football at Notre Dame and not be out there with your hair on fire every chance you get. I don't get it.
Hey, I don't either. Hey, I'm going to bring this up, too. Everybody was making fun of Tennessee, what was it, 2 years ago for the McDonald's bags full of cash?
Yeah.
How did that turn out this past weekend?
Yeah, a lot of McDoubles in that bag, Turned out good. A lot of McDoubles, baby.
I mean, yes, because it's a business now. It's a business. And I'm sorry, until you admit it's a business, you're a JUCO school till you admit it's a business.
Well, that's going to be tough, and that's another larger scale discussion for us. So I thank you for the call, my friend. Always good connecting with you, and you always make me think of something that wasn't directly in my mind. Good job.
All right, talk to you later, John.
I appreciate it. Have a good week. I'm telling you, man, people do not like the Notre Dame crowd. That's for sure. People do not. People just are saying it's so lame and quiet and everything. And I went through that. Nobody wanted to hear it, you guys. Nobody wanted to hear it when I said you price out the regular people like my family from the Chicago suburbs. Not a lot of money growing up, middle class. Dad just wanted to drive over there and get his 2 sons in the ball game. And you would scalp tickets for $100 or whatever for 2 or 3. Like, those days are gone, man. Those were the people that made noise. We were in there to see Notre Dame win. We were not there to network with our law school buddies and light my pipe in the quad. No, we were there for football, darn it. All right, we're going to do some more calls. I got a handful left. 281-469-631-703, 707-518. That's who we're getting through for today. So we're going to make our way through those. That's going to be it. We'll go back Wednesday. Do it again Wednesday. You didn't make it? Call me Wednesday. 281, let's have some fun. Hello.
Good morning, John. How you doing?
Good morning. Thank you for your patience, waiting your turn on the line. I'm glad I got to you. What do you make after this?
It's good listening to everybody.
Oh, man. What do you make of all this? This is a real frustrating mess. How are you looking at this situation?
Well, there's beyond being frustrated and this insanity that we keep allowing Reese to do and run us through every single week. Everybody felt good the last couple weeks because we've won a couple games. Pine has looked better. And so it looked like, hey, we've band-aided things and everything's going great. And then we come out and fall flat on our face back to the same old. Like how the game started this weekend against Stanford felt exactly like the Marshall game.
In the idea
100%
of
from the get-go with the false start and then the 3 and out, and then Stanford drives right down and scores. It felt exactly like the Marshall game.
You know what I even said in my post-game show I put out yesterday? I actually said that start was worse than if Pine threw a pick 6 because that start was a failure on both sides of the ball. The offense failed and then the defense failed. Like, it was why though? Like, here's where I struggle. We were out of the playoff race and all that even before this game. You accept it. You didn't like it, but you accepted that reality. And then you just looked for incremental, let's get better each week. The fact that we totally burned all that down and we're starting at 0 now drives me crazy. That's hard for me to take.
We're right back to where we were after Marshall.
That's awful. You can't be going backwards.
Exactly. So this is the thing that I see. And I listened to Driscoll's show the other night.
What
after
did he
the
have
game,
to
and
say?
he
Man,
kinda
I'm
said-
busy,
and
so busy with my own
so-
stuff. I don't have time to listen to everybody else. What did they think?
What I appreciate is how he breaks down a lot of things, and a lot of people don't like him because he gets real uppity on himself, and that's fine. But here's what I see: is like Reese makes all the decisions on the offensive side because he's the OC. Freeman gives him that free reign to do basically what he wants because he's just not an offensive guy. It really hasn't gotten to that point yet, but he's clearly going to need to be. So Reese doesn't just call the plays, but he makes the personnel decisions on those plays as well. He's not just the OC, but he's the quarterback coach, which we have not seen any development in any of our QBs for years. And so the problem is, what a couple callers ago said, hey, Styles should be a corner. Lindsey's not a wide receiver because he doesn't run route. The only thing he said in that whole thing that I agreed with was that players were out of position. But it's not because Styles should be a corner. Styles shouldn't be on the outside. Styles should be in the slot. Lindsey should be on the slot. And we should have Merriweather on the outside and Thomas on the outside, Thomas or Colby on the outside because they've got the size and they can run those routes and go up and get a ball. No linebacker or safety is going to keep up with Styles and Lindsey when they're running crossers and drags across the field. They will not be able to keep up with him.
Can I ask you a question?
Times and Pine couldn't hit him.
Why do I not see more crossers and drags hitting guys in stride for Notre Dame across the middle of the field and then they're off to the races? I see teams with way less talent than us run that in rhythm all game, hit their guys in stride, and they just off to the races, let them do the work with their feet after. We see it once in a while. Why can't that be a little more part of our game?
Because Reese has no thought process in what he's doing. He's stuck in one mode of, hey, we're gonna start off every game with shotgun draw running plays that are slow developing, and so it takes all the speed away from Tyree to get started when we should be running. How can we not coach? And this is across college football, so it's not just a Notre Dame thing, but it's across college football. All the shotgun plays, every quarterback shotgun. Well, what happened to teaching somebody, hey, it's not that hard to take a snap under center and let your running back get a start moving forward. Instead, we snap it and let them stand still looking and then hand off. And that's great on when they're not expecting it, but that's all the running plays we do from the get-go. And we do it all game long. And then when we're in 3rd and 20, he takes Tyree out and puts Estime in to run little short pass-catching plays on 3rd and 20, when that's when we should have our speed guy in.
Yeah.
And when we're on 3rd and 1, 4th and 1, or on the goal line, and he takes Estime out, which Estime got us there, by the way.
Yep.
And then he'll put Tyree in to run straight up the middle.
It almost, dude, does it feel like sometimes like he almost has too many decent running back options and then he gets messed up who would be best suited for what setup, kind of?
Well,
that's how I feel sometimes.
What I understand is how you have a personnel package that you can't say, hey, we're not going to put Merriweather on the field, but except for something that we schemed for him a couple times during the game. And all the people said he didn't see the field again. He did, but they didn't scheme plays to go for him.
Right.
Well, why is that difficult just to throw it up to him and let him go get the damn ball like Randy Moss or Megatron used to do all the damn time? Look at Tennessee that went against Alabama's defense, and Hendon Hooker just threw it to his wide receiver Hyatt. All 5 touchdown passes that Hooker threw were to the same receiver.
Yeah.
Because he kept going, hey, they can't cover him. I'm just going to throw it to him and let him go score. He had 6 catches, and 5 of them were touchdowns for 200 yards.
Yep.
It's insanity, and we won't put Merriweather on the field, and he immediately showed what he can do if you just let him go and just, hey, throw deep.
Everybody, all Notre Dame fans were pointing, going, see, we told you this was possible. Why are we halfway through the year before you do it?
I put my kids to bed, and then that happened 5 minutes after I put my kids to bed, and I'm yelling for Tobias, and my wife said, hey, you just put the kids on. I don't care. I've been screaming for Tobias to get on the damn field for 7 games. For 6 games.
It's so frustrating.
It finally happened, and we see the results. What can happen? It's infuriating.
Yeah, they make offensive football look harder than it has to be. They make it look harder than it has to be. And I see teams with way less talent and skill running offenses that look smooth. They're creative. They're innovative. They're not predictable. They're not boring. They put their talent in the best position to succeed. They put together drives and they score points. It isn't as hard as Notre Dame makes it, and I'm losing my mind.
And how much do we put? Okay, the few times we've seen Prince Colley on the field, he attacked downhill after the ball and made plays. Yet then we'll go back to running Bertrand and Kaiser, and they're playing slow. Whatever, they're playing slow. They may not be slow in general, but they're playing slow. Like they don't know. I mean, Stanford sat there and run that little mesh draw play to Filkins or whatever his name was all through the game, and Bertrand, we've got people in a big pile, and Bertrand just runs right up behind the pile instead of filling one of those gaps that he ended up breaking to the side and run through the gap for another 10 to 12 yards. It's insanity. Put Colley on the field, put Snead on the field that have a better instinct and that can attack after the ball because they're athletes.
They
like
have,
what we
listen.
Used to see with Teo, what we used to see with Jalon Smith, what we saw with Owusu Koromoa. I mean, it's infuriating to watch this linebacker play that can't tackle. Because that's the weakest part of our defense by far is our linebacker play.
And you know what's upsetting about that is going into the season, most people thought that would probably be a unit strength overall, and it just hasn't happened. And you know there's talent there. The recruiting's been good with it.
Maurice coming back, we thought at least that would fill in a lot and take it to a higher level, and he's been disappointing to this point. But Bertrand and Kaiser are not getting it done.
Yeah, I mean, here's where I'm at.
Got players that can play. I don't know.
Where I'm at with all this is the frontline guys that started, you have no footing to stand on. None of you have done your job good enough. We're in a horrible position. So there is no, you're an upperclassman, you're doing it. No, you have lost all that credibility, and you need to let some guys go in there that want to play a little harder, maybe.
Seniority doesn't count.
It can't anymore. What good is seniority if it sucks? Like, good job. You've been around forever. We're not good, but you've been around forever. That doesn't do a damn thing for me.
Did you miss a tackle? Okay, you're off the field. This guy's stepping up. We're going to go see what he can do because you've consistently been missing tackles.
And then accountability, man. Everybody talks about it, but what does accountability look like this week for the Notre Dame program? That might be my number one question of the week. What is going to change because of this result that was beyond unacceptable? What is going to change? What does that actual accountability look like this week?
How about have Freeman? Tell me something that Freeman talked to Reese, did something, because he's not going to fire him this week. It's just not going to happen. I wish it would, but most of us logically know it's not going to.
Yeah, I don't think so either.
Difference and have Reese his butt out of the box and down on the field, and have Freeman standing next to him and showing the accountability that, hey, I'm watching over this, and we're going to be able to talk and communicate right here when we're seeing things not go good. So I can yell at you and say, hey, you do your gosh damn job.
Well, all I'm saying is something has to change with the way this is being structured and operated, because when you have a catastrophic failure, not losing to Ohio State at their place, but when you have the red flags of what happened at home against these two teams, you need to structure things different because whatever you're doing is not connecting. I need physical changes this week because what you're doing ain't working. The message isn't being received right. Something's off.
It's been an embarrassment to say the least.
It's rough. Well, thank you. Thanks for the call, my friend. I'm going to try and get a couple other people in here. I really appreciate it. Give me a call again. Give me a call again. Thanks. Oh, man. People are struggling. 469, you're on the line.
Hello?
Hello.
Hey, John, how's it going?
It's going okay. We're just having a group therapy session here on a Monday, mid-Monday morning. It's healthy for us all, man. Right. We all got it. We're all in it together. What do you make of all this?
All right. I'm going to breathe a little bit of a positivity in this, but then I kind of have some I guess, kind of negative critique I got to throw out there, but I'll start with the positivity.
Okay.
It's looked real rough on the field, obviously. Even in the games that have been won, there have been moments where it's like, man, it's not what we were hoping for. It's not what we were expecting. But here's the positive aspect. We knew going into the season that the bright spot for Marcus Freeman is of recruiting. This roster isn't his roster. So he's working with somebody else's roster that he basically inherited. You see it all the time in the NFL and college where a coach inherits another roster, and it takes a little bit of time for them to, get their players and really get running with their players.
All right. Now wait.
Yeah.
We're going to do this.
Yeah.
That going into the season, that was one of my big bullet points for everybody to keep in mind regarding Freeman's first year, was the acknowledgement and the acceptance that he was taking over a roster that was pretty good, but not elite in main key areas. Quarterback, wide receiver come to mind. Okay. I knew all that, and I prepared people for it. And I knew that the talent would be better in a few years now than it is now, a few years from now than it is now. But baked into that acknowledgement, it still couldn't be to where you're losing to these teams at home. I am building that struggle in, and you still can't do what they did. Admitting those issues. It can't be that bad. Lose to Ohio State if you want. Lose to Clemson if you want. It couldn't be these teams.
Here's the reason they lost to those teams, though. It's really quite simple. Letdown games. Marcus Freeman doesn't have the experience yet as far as navigating a team through an emotional loss or an emotional win.
Yep.
They had a big-time game, prime-time game against Ohio State. Lost that game. They had a chance to win. That's a letdown. So the next week, they came out flat. That's the mark of a team that isn't coached by an experienced coach. But we already know Marcus Freeman is an experienced coach. Will he get there? Yes, he will, but he's not there yet. So we can't hold him to the standard of, well, you got to navigate a team and lead them through, not having a letdown. He's not there yet. It'd be nice if he were at that point as far as leadership, but he's just not.
But man, you're telling me Marcus Freeman, who's been this all-world player at Ohio State, even got drafted by the Bears, been a coach around all these good coaches. You're telling me it never occurred to him, I better prepare against a letdown? Like, he needs to be thinking about it.
It's experiential. It's one thing to see it done,
but how to be able to
do it.
How to be able to navigate it, you're saying.
Right. You can sit beside somebody, learning how to do a job, and you can shadow somebody. Man, I'm really learning from this person how to do that job. But as soon as that person goes away and you're now in that position to do their job, there's a learning curve. And that's what Marcus Freeman is experiencing. He's at a big-time program playing the toughest schedule in college football, and he has no experience. It's a steep learning curve. And all we're seeing is he's having to learn how to navigate that. That's it.
Now, man, I am open to the
bubbles. What's up?
I am open to the idea. I'm very open to the idea, honestly, that maybe I and everybody underestimated everything that goes into this learning curve. And the learning curve, whatever it would be for anybody, is probably times 5 the pressure because it's at Notre Dame under this spotlight. Maybe I underestimated that, but I still don't think you should look like crap against these teams at home.
I mean, you would hope they don't, but the fact of the matter is they did. And you can't do anything. Hindsight is 20/20. You know what I mean? So he's going to learn from it. But the harsh reality is it is what it is, and he can't change it. All he can do is move forward and learn from it.
And gain the experience.
We as fans, all we can do is continue to support the team and know that there are better players coming, and with better players will come better play, and with better play comes winning more games.
Yeah, I can't disagree. I expected learning curves. I just didn't think they'd be this graphic is the best way to put it. So
Right.
what would you do short term?
Yeah.
Like, what would you do short term to try and put the fire out this week, get these guys in the right mind frame to go right back out at home again in front of a crowd that is going to be anxious and not themselves because of all this? How do you try and get them going this week then? Headed in the right direction?
You just gotta lean on your leadership in the locker room, guys like Michael Mayer, even Drew Pine, guys who have faced adversity and have worked through it. Lean on them and their leadership, and just keep the team together. Don't let them get too emotionally high. Don't let them get too emotionally low. That's one of Marcus Freeman's strengths, is not letting the emotional waves kind of carry him, and just understand, hey, this is a big picture thing. Yeah, things are struggling right now, but we know what we're trying to do long term. For Michael Mayer, you just simply let him know, hey, you keep doing your thing. You're continuing to build your NFL stock. You're our best horse. We're going to continue to ride you, and you're not going to do anything but continue to shine and look better. So let's go out there and just show them that you're one of the best tight ends in the country, and the rest of the team, hey, support your teammate. He's been there for you every step of the way. So let's go out there and just keep doing this. It may look kind of ugly at times, but we're gonna play with heart. We're never gonna give up. We're gonna be in every game we play, and let's just go out and have fun and see where it goes.
Yeah, I mean, that might be all you could do in this short window to try and turn it around. But I appreciate your perspective, and it's man, this learning curve. I just hoped it wasn't this bad, this tough, but it looks like it might be. And maybe that's on all of us to think it could have been easier than this and run right in there and keep it moving. I don't know. Maybe I underestimated it.
I want to right quick. I want to kind of throw now the negativity I want to throw out there is really shooting at the fan base. I'm sorry to say, but too many fans out there are ready to, Freeman's not going to do it. They're already giving up on Freeman. I mean, it's not even midway through the season. They're already giving up on Freeman. They're talking about fire Reese. Look, you need to pump the brakes on that, because anything that's done midway through the season isn't anything but a knee-jerk reaction. So all we have to do is just enjoy the team, support the team, win or lose, whatever. Wait until the end of the season and let Marcus Freeman evaluate the team and decide personnel decisions at the end of the season, and then go from there. After year 2, after year 3, then we'll be able to see, is Marcus Freeman the coach we're hoping he's going to be? Until then, it's just nothing but hot air and noise being blown by all these fans talk about do this, do that. And really, truthfully, anybody who thinks they're smarter than the coaches as far as, the coaches need to do this, the coaches need to do that, you're not smarter than the coaches. The coaches know what they're doing. You just need to trust the process.
There we go. I trust the process, and I respect the process. I'm waiting for it to respect me back just once.
Yeah. I mean, it's going to be rough this season, but we just got to ride it out.
There you go. Hey, I like a little positivity to end the day. We're trending up. You got us trending up. I like it.
I'm Notre Dame ride or die, so.
I appreciate it. Thanks a lot, man. I like the energy. Thanks. It's healthy.
All right. You take care of yourself. All right, John.
Thanks a lot. Give me a call again, my friend. Thank you.
All right.
Whoops. Cut him off. All right. 631. Let's have a little fun.
John, how are you?
I'm okay. I'm a little stressed if we're talking about football, but overall, I'm doing okay. How are you?
All right. I'm calling from Long Island. And the first thing, I have a couple of points. I'm going to make them quick because I know that, the show's went a little long today. So
certainly,
my first point is what you brought up before about the ticket prices. I drive from Long Island to Indiana every year. I've been doing it for the last 10 years, except for 2020, obviously, because of the whole COVID thing. So this year I'm not going because I found tickets and wait. They're just too high. You know, I wasn't getting, you know, front row seats. I was, you know, section 4, you know, but let's just say I didn't have anything close to the, you know, I was in the middle of the.
Yeah, just happy to be there.
Just a regular seat, you know.
Yeah.
It wasn't like I was breaking the bank for the ticket. Hotels, forget about it in South Bend.
Yep.
I stay about 20 miles away in Goshen, and even the prices in Goshen, the hotel prices, are through the roof.
Now,
Anyway,
do they nail you on the double nights? You can't just do game night. Is it a
Yep.
Friday, Saturday guarantee?
Exactly.
I figured, yeah, it had to be double. Yeah, you got it. You can't just come and go for game. Yeah.
Exactly. So with that, I don't know how, you know, financially next year will be for me to come, but this year I got to take and it's sad to see that this team doesn't, I mean, this fan base that's at the game, they can't get behind the team. Once the team does something wrong, it's like, uh-oh, how is this game going to go from here on?
Yep.
In? You know, nobody stands up. They don't try to get it. They do the light show in between the I guess the third and fourth quarter. Yeah, do that every 20 minutes or so when there's a break. Get the fans back in it, because I watched it the other day and you could hear cricket. You could actually hear the plays being called.
Man, it's so funny. It's just so funny. It's Notre Dame, the house Rockney built, and it's like, how do we get the fans awake? Well, it can't just be with the play. We need a laser show. Every NBC commercial break, we have a laser show, things shooting around just to wake people up.
It's ridiculous. And speaking of NBC and their commentary, I listened to the game on mute. Believe it or not, yes, I listened to it on mute.
Fire up the
Because I can't
radio
stand
and
those
sync
two
it up,
guys.
or do you just watch it?
You know what I do? I do get the radio station, but it doesn't come in well where I am in my apartment. It comes in a little fuzzy, so I watch it on mute because I just can't. I can't listen to these two anymore.
I don't think the booth has gravitas, man. It sounds like a small-time product production to me, and I don't mean that to be mean. It just doesn't seem like a big-time product to me now, and it offends me.
No. I can't listen to Garrett say the word naked.
Dude, he
says
loves
naked
saying
every-
naked. Why does that guy love saying naked on
What is
TV
it with
so
him and the
much?
naked?
He's obsessed with the naked.
I can't get it. I don't know if he has some things going on inside of his head. He's using the word naked too much. But, yeah, so.
He does say it a lot. I noticed that too, dude. He says it a lot. Naked this, naked that. Everything's naked.
Way too much. Everything's naked here, you know, and it's getting to be a little disturbing. So I listened to him on mute. The thing I don't understand with Notre Dame is, can you tell me when the last time you remember a flea flicker being used on the field by
Oh,
Notre
no.
Dame?
No. Now you're talking about getting creative. We don't do that. Stop yourself.
We don't do that.
Stop
right?
yourself. We're not getting creative here. Shut it down.
The BYU touchdown at the end of, I think it was the first quarter, when they had fourth down. It was fourth down in like 4, and the creativity of BYU sending the guy out on the flat, and he turned around and totally broke the ankles of the Notre Dame corner. Why can't we think of doing stuff like that when we're on the 1-yard line and have to when we're on the when we're at 4th and 1? Why can't we think of something creative like that? No, we got to run it up the middle and just take a knee right at the middle of the line.
Man, I see these creative play calls like in short, 3rd and 4th and shorts. I see teams all over the country with creative play calls on red zone down by the goal line, like misdirection, off balance plays. Like we just don't do it. We just don't do it. Not interested. Not interested.
The creativity is totally gone. And yeah, you know, it's also about, you know, Tommy Rees and Marcus Freeman. When that was mentioned back in December that these two were going to be taken over, I follow the message boards. I follow the apps, the Bleacher Report, everything.
Yeah.
Not one person was against this. Not one person was against this hire.
Now, everybody was for this hire. Everybody was for Tommy Rees. We're going to be the dream team. You lose a couple of games, and we want him out. We want him out. We can't be like that. We got to give this time. Unfortunately, a season or two, let's just wait this out and see what happens. But, you got to give, time heals all wounds. And hopefully with this team, it will.
But in football, time could cause more wounds until you bleed out. That's the problem. Like, if it's bad, there is no guarantee that time's going to heal it. Like, I just can't have this slide away into a very dark place that's almost impossible to dig out of. Listen, man. In 5 years from now, I might look at this and be like, wow, what a dumb, silly, rough first year. And then we made it out of it. And that was a little road bump. I'm open to that. It just doesn't feel small now. Like, it doesn't feel small now. Even Kelly started beating the teams we should beat. So it feels like a big deal.
Yeah. My last point here, John, is this team should only have one win if you really look at it. Yeah, Ohio State, we lost that one. We needed a bad call to beat Cal. We needed another bad call to beat NC State. North Carolina. We needed the game after North Carolina, BYU. Yeah, okay, but we needed who was it? The one that made the stop at the end of the game. I can't think of his name right now. On the fourth and 1.
Yeah, was it Collie? Was it who was it? Collie or somebody else? No.
I can't think. Anyway, I can't think of his name. I had it written down before. I don't have my notes with me now, but we needed him to stop that in order to win that game also. So, I mean, we could have a lot worse record than we do thanks to the help of the refs. Now, I'm not saying that, there were a couple of balls that the other team, dropped when they were going to the ground. And but, I mean, that Cal game was a blatant – there was nobody all sides in that Cal game. They even apologized. The refs even apologized for messing that one up.
All right, so if you're saying we should have one win – why is that? Did Kelly leave the cupboard more empty than we all wanted to realize? Or is like if you're saying that, why then?
I think the coaches, I think Kelly can motivate the players better than Marcus Freeman. I think it comes down to motivation. I don't see this. Why are 200-pound kids moving around 350-pound guys, 300-pound guys?
Well, that's a good question. Yeah, that's a fair question. Motivation, leverage, anger, hate. I don't know.
Yeah. So I just wanted to leave you with that.
Yeah, I appreciate it. And you have some good thoughts and a different way of thinking about it. We're going to see if we can pull ourselves up this week. And you just need to get a win any way you can.
That's all. Just support the team. Let's just keep supporting them, guys. Don't get down on them. You know what? We got to be there through the bad and the good.
Yep,
and make you an MD fan.
Like I say all the time, the people that are here when it's bad and we have to discuss things that are depressing, if it does turn around and we end up winning something, it's going to mean more to those people because you were there through the bad parts. It'll mean more when you're there for the good.
Yeah, you got to wear your gear. Don't put your gear away. Keep your gear out. Show that you're a Notre Dame fan. Who cares? I wore my gear yesterday morning to church. I didn't care when I heard people saying, "Oh, didn't they lose last night?" Yeah, they did, but I don't care. I'm still a fan.
Man, they're even giving you a hard time at church. You just can't catch a damn break, my friend. You just can't catch a break at church even. Oh, that's hilarious. You walk into church and the priest is like, boo, giving you a hard time, man.
And it's a Catholic church too on top of it, so they know what they're talking about when it comes to the Irish.
Man, that's brutal. But thanks for the call, my friend. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you, John.
No problem. Give me a call again. Take care.
Will do.
Oh man, this is wild. All right, 707, last caller of the day. It's been a long one, but here we are. You're on the air. Thanks for waiting.
Hey, John.
How are you?
Oh, I'm okay. I guess I'm not really taking this, as you know me, because I call in quite often.
Yep.
You know, I was expecting 5 losses after that Marshall game. I just figured, you know, this is not. I've been watching them too long to know what's going to happen, you know?
Yeah.
So
I
I'm not
just,
really
man,
that
I didn't see this
annoyed
one
by it
coming,
because
though.
I see what it is. I mean, people are on that chat room yelling at every different position and position coach, you know? And it's like, instead of doing that, why don't you say who actually played good? Because that's how bad they were. Nobody played good.
Yeah. And man, I really didn't see this coming, though. That's what's really jarring to me is I really did feel like we had stabilized and reached a point of having a base level of comfort of how the quality of play was going to be. And I just didn't see that all evaporating at home against 1-4 Stanford. Like, it doesn't make sense to me, and I'm really struggling with that.
Yeah, and I get that. I mean, but still, I'm not surprised and I'm not expecting miracles this year. And, you know, like when I look at, like, Lorenzo Styles played horribly that game. He was terrible.
Yeah, it was
What
rough.
did he drop 3?
Rough. Hit him right there. Hit him.
Yeah, and then, you know, what'll make people mad in that chat room is that Michael Mayer played terrible.
Well, didn't he have
Did you
two?
see-
Didn't he have 2 holds on him? Called on him? I think he had
Well, I know
2
he had at
holds.
least one, and you could be right. It could be 2.
I thought it was
But he
2, and
also-
one of them was a
They
bad
lined
one,
up
though.
A guy, I don't know. I forget now because I erased the tape right away. But it was either 13 or 14.
I don't
and
blame
they
you.
made him play Mayer one-on-one, and then with any other help, you know, depending on where he goes. But they lined that guy up, and he kicked Mayer's ass. Like on that handoff on that 4th and goal or 4th and 2, whatever it was, down at the goal line when they gave that to Jaden Thomas. That guy shot and totally beat Mayer, and he made Jaden Thomas stop in his tracks because he was right there, and Mayer was just like looking, you know, like he just beat him. And if you want to go back on that tape, you'll see what I mean. But it was all game. That kid was dominating Mayer.
Yeah, and they had a really good plan overall against him, too. I mean, they were zoning him. They were manning him. They were bracketing him. They were running him into coverage. Like, it astounded me that it took this long for somebody to actually put together a really good plan to defend him. And then it was the age-old question this year. If you eliminate that, where does Notre Dame pivot to, you know, next? And we ran into trouble with that.
Well, I don't understand why they're throwing it to Styles when you have a guy like Merriweather that showed you he can do that route.
Yep.
You know, like it's just so obvious.
Yep. And he took,
And
what a
another guy
great
talks
route, too.
about- What's that?
I said, what a great route. He took the one little, you know, dig in cut, and then he was gone. Body control, good. Great job by him. I'm very happy for him.
Yeah, he just went right by him. He made one little, showed him a leg, as my dad used to say, and then he was past him.
Yep, that's exactly what he did. It was beautiful. I want more of it.
Yeah, but then, you know, people are in there are getting down on the defense. Well, they gave up 14 or 16 points, and they didn't have Lacey. They didn't have Cross. Cross played the first half, and he was at 50%, so they benched him the rest of the way. And Jason DeMalola got hurt.
Yep.
So you had nobody up the middle. That's why that kid, Finkins or whatever his name was going right up the middle, because they have nobody there.
Yeah.
And that silly mesh offense, all you need to do with that, because they can't block downfield. If they're thinking he's going to pass, they can't cross the line yet. So if you're a defensive lineman, all you have to do is stand your guy up and wait for them to commit to something. But if they can't just, on a mesh play like that where they're waiting for the defense to show them something, they can't block downfield. They have to stay there. So stay with them. Stand them up. Keep them there. You know, don't let him see down. He's a tall quarterback, so he had an advantage. And that's another reason why Notre Dame's not looking very good. They're playing some damn good quarterbacks all year.
Yeah. Yeah, they are. Man, it's just, even with that defense, giving up the amount of points they gave up, you still look at it and find things to be mad at. Is that right or wrong of us? I see that low point total, but a lot of things I didn't like in that. Are we being extra harsh on the defense?
It was the worst I've seen them all year, and maybe in 2 years. But last year they had a couple of games like that too.
And it still ended up in a point total you would take if you were just given it as an option every week.
Yeah.
Kind of weird.
Yeah, I mean, that's right. I can't be blaming the defense at all. I mean, it really comes down to this horrible line of Brian Kelly, offensive coordinator, quarterback coach. I mean, you like you said earlier, Reese has been in the system now a long time. How many years was he away from Notre Dame? And then he
a
became
couple.
A quarterback coach. Then they gave him offensive coordinator, and the guy's like a 3-star, terrible quarterback. He threw the ball like it was a watermelon, and he would, in the big moments, he would throw interceptions. So he has no understanding. And when you look at these quarterbacks that came in, Pine, I have a hard time yelling at him because he was not developed in his 4 years or however many he's been there now.
Yeah.
Who's developing him?
Right.
Reese doesn't have a clue on how to develop. Kelly didn't care about developing. He didn't care about the quarterback position.
So what's the path out of this, though? Like, we're identifying a lot of big picture stuff. What is the path out of this in the short term for this season and then the long term?
Bear it for this year. You recognize that Freeman is a much better recruiter. He's got to get tough. He's got to get angry. Like I posted in there earlier, he's got to get angry. And he's got to, Lou Holtz didn't accept anything less than 100% effort and 100% success, right? That's what I said in that room. And that's what he was all about. And that's what, Freeman has to figure out of how to get mad and point out why you're mad. Like, here is why. I'm not just saying do better like Reese does, do your fucking job.
Right.
I'm saying, here's what you did. Here's what you have to do. Like me talking about that mesh offense that they had, they can't run the ball if they're deciding whether to run it or not. So their guys are not allowed to go downfield, They stand them up and wait. And that way it's going to be tough to see over all these guys, these moving pieces. And, by then, maybe these receivers are open or maybe not, but you don't have to get so perplexed by a mesh offense where the guy is just holding the ball forever. It's like, so what? So stay with him. And then if you see he's going to throw it or he actually goes back and drops it, you put your hands up. It's like, I don't know. It seems like, and then bring a guy. Colley's fast enough to recover if he's back in pass while the defensive linemen are holding their linemen up. I don't know. It just, I'm not pulling the plug on Freeman. I'm angry with him because it's given me pause that he's not making a change yet. In the NFL, head coaches, defensive coordinators, these guys are fired week to week. Make a change. Give that running backs coach a chance. He's everyone loves him. Let's see if he can call plays better than Reese. The book's there. They all know the book.
Right. Yeah.
Why hold off on firing Reese? He sucks. It's just so obvious.
But are we sure that Freeman sees that? Like, I genuinely don't know. What if Freeman thinks, oh yeah, Tommy's doing a good job, the guys just aren't executing? What if Tommy thinks that? Or what if Reese?
I know.
What if Freeman thinks that about
really
Reese?
Causing me concern about Freeman. That's what's causing me concern is that he's all about Reese. He said it in that stupid news conference. He still has trust in him. Well, guess what, buddy? Look what that guy's generating for you on offense. Just because you didn't know anything about offense when you came here, that doesn't mean you have to go with the guy that was there.
Or the other possibility is, he is seeing and thinking what we are, but he can't kill his guy in the presser, so he's going to pump him up, and then after the year say, buddy, go to the NFL. I got to get new eyes on this because it isn't good enough.
Yeah, I wouldn't wait. I mean, it's when you score 19 against Marshall, was it, and then 14 against Stanford, there's a problem.
Yeah.
It's not anything else but
no touchdowns in the first quarter in every game this year is a major red flag, and it's beyond execution. It tells me your plan isn't that good either.
I know. And then you have, like, Jared Patterson had a terrible game. He gets called right off the bat.
Yep.
These Pac-12 refs were idiotic, and they always are. I mean, for as long as I've been watching, the Pac-12 refs stink, They're the worst, and then the Big Ten, but mostly the Pac-10 is just, they try and take over games, and then they wind up spending the rest of the game with makeup calls, So it's just, it's a real problem having to watch them call a game because
it's rough.
they
Yeah,
suck,
the officiating was very, very bad, but we played so bad anyways. I cannot blame them for this. I can't.
That's why I didn't bring it up till now.
Yeah.
I mean,
But it
there's
is worth
ways-
mentioning. They are bad, and they've been bad a lot of times this year. We've had some bad ones.
Yeah.
So what do you make of this
I-
week? What are you going to do for UNLV? What do we do now? Can you imagine going to that game this week? That crowd is going to be silent, sitting there like, what bad thing is going to happen this week? Like, how do you get it right against UNLV? How do you do it? Let's go.
You don't. You just,
You don't? What a
in the
good
moment.
answer. How do you get it right? You don't. And good night, folks.
Mic drop. No, but I mean, I'm not expecting anything this whole year, and it's like this is what it is this year. When you lose to Marshall, you might as well, don't give yourself a heart attack by worrying week to week. I mean, in the game, I get very mad, but then when it's over and it sinks in, it's like, yeah, well, this is what I'm seeing that they are. Why should I get upset with it? I know what they are, and so you just have to wait until that cancer is gone, which is Reeves, and then you have to build a guy up like, that Charlie Weiss Jr. Who's he? He's the offensive coordinator for Ole Miss or Tennessee or somebody.
Yeah,
he's a stud.
Yeah, he's doing good. And it's weird. I picture him as a chubby 12-year-old next to his chubby dad on the sidelines at Notre Dame. It's weird thinking of him as 30 and doing that.
I know. And he's good. He's so much better than Reeves, And he was watching that kid play.
Yeah, that's wild too. Yeah, that's a weird full circle there. So I don't know, my friend. It's just, this was jarring. I expected growing pains. I didn't think they'd be this extreme, and it's freaking me out.
Well, it's 3-3, and I was expecting at a pretty good record 7-5, but now it might not even be that. So, you just have to grin and bear it until Freeman grows a pair and understands and says, I have to let you go, Tommy.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Tommy. He's going to have some tough decisions to make. And a part of that means you're going to have some tough decisions with people you like personally. But if he wants to protect his own situation and reputation, he's going to have to figure this all out one way or the other. But thanks for the call, and thanks a lot for waiting. I know it took a while to get to you today.
I know I have an appointment at 10 o'clock Pacific time, and I'm 8 minutes away, and I got no shirt on yet or shoes or anything.
All right. Well, then I'm hanging up with you. I'm sorry. Get to your appointment.
See ya.
Thank you. Bye. Oh, man. That's funny. NDH on 199. Elite QB and ND is 5-1 despite Boy Genius. Yeah, you might be right. Actually, you might be right. All right, folks. That's going to do it for the show. Usually 2 hours. We went almost 3, and I have a couple other things I have to record and then write today because there's just a lot going on right now. Thank you. Everybody that's been here, all the people that donated, all the people that have called, everybody, thank you. We will be back Wednesday. Another call-in show. Jump in. If you didn't get it all out, you have more to say, you missed it this time, jump in Wednesday. So I'm going to get off here now, record some other stuff to put out tonight and tomorrow. We will revisit this Wednesday. Let me know what you think. Have a good one.